In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Hallelujah. 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 Lirum hallelujah. The Panthers have signed Lirum Hallelujah to the Carolina Panthers as their kicker to replace Zane Gonzalez. The only good thing that kind of was going on in this Carolina Panthers season. Welcome to the C3 Panthers Podcast. It's a Christmas week. It's a Christmas extravaganza as we celebrate the coal in the stockings that has been delivered to Panther fans this season on the C3 Panthers Podcast. And I do it with my homeboys. And then to the left of me, to the right of me, I can't tell. Cody Lashney, how you doing, my man?
Tony Dunn, I'm doing better than the Carolina Panthers are currently doing. You know, we've had a long time of reflection. Man, Matt Rhule continues to be a controversial head coach. A lot of really negative things that the Panther fandom has, said about Matt Rhule because of the things that he says in his press conferences. Tony, we're going to get into it today. We're going to get into this Tampa Bay game. As you said, man, this is like a Christmas episode. We're here chilling, hanging out on a Tuesday night, nowhere that we would rather be. And you know that we're going to do this show with the best Panther fans in all of YouTube, man. My man Drew, Brad Dugan, The Real Zero Chill, Joey the Blind Panther, Malcolm Flex, Mark Carson, Matt David, Matt Knows Nothing, Off Grid, Robbie Switzer, Sarah Taylor, Thomas Tomlinson, Tim Estes, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Tonight's show is the blame game as we talk about who is to blame. But this will not just be the typical blame game where we get up here and talk junk. No, we're going to be talking about Matt Rhule talking junk about his own team and Cam Newton. The blame game on 4th and 1. Who had it right? Is Matt Rhule overly critical of Cam Newton? Is he using Cam Newton as a scapegoat, or does the blame belong on non-elite QB play, and will that lead to Sam Darnold? We got a lot to talk about. You can do it on the C3 Panthers Podcast. The number is 252-228-5098. Call us up. Who's to blame? What's the blame? What's the problem? Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Feliz Navidad. Welcome back, CK.
Sorry I missed on Sunday. I had a family event at the house, and I didn't, I was watching the game half-heartedly, and, the other half of me was, just laughing at the hysteria that is the Panthers at this point in time. The good news is I think that we are closer and closer to a Matt Rhule firing than we were a week ago or 2 weeks ago, because at this point in time, it's clearly just a sideshow. So I think there's some optimism to be had as Panthers fans that we're going to be coming into a new year with a new coach, with the hope again coming that a new coach can fix all of our woes. And even if that is true or not, we're going to find out. But I'm just happy to be here celebrating the holidays with my boys.
Greg, it's become that part of the season, or it's become a moment where we got to get up on this podcast, try to find new things to talk about, try to rehash what we got to talk about, and these same the same things coming up and up. I feel like I'm at a kid's kindergarten concert right now, and they are singing the wrong song. They are doing the wrong things, and we are just filming away, proud as we can be. We got to watch it. We got to tell them we love them. We got to tell them that they're good, but they're not good, man. It's been a tough season as a Panthers fan. Welcome to the podcast. Greg, the Bat Daddy, Stat Daddy. How are you? He's on mute.
I'm doing fantastic, man. It would be very, very hard to get through this season without these therapy sessions. I'm not gonna lie, man. It's very nice
That's
to get on
right.
here. And Cody, man, that list just keeps getting longer and longer and longer. It's
Oh
crazy how
no.
many people are hanging out to talk about the Panthers, even when we
Yes,
suck.
sir.
Even when we suck. It's crazy. But love being here, man. And I've got some things I want to point out tonight. We got some stuff to talk about, and I'm ready to talk Panthers football.
Call into the show at 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, tell a friend about the show as we approach this holiday season. And there haven't been a lot of gifts given to Panther fans this year. Panthers did sign kicker Liram Hajerula off Washington's practice squad.
What'd you call my mama? Oh, no.
This is according to Joe Person. The Kosovo-born Hajerula was on the Panthers practice squad last December before an issue with his visa. He replaces the injured Zane Gonzalez for the final 3 games. So we have that news, and AJ Booyaka to the Iarca.
That's tough, man. I feel like AJ Bouye has played surprisingly well for us this year. Like, I would say he's been one of the bright spots. I mean, he's also gotten burned a few times,
Sure.
especially here recently. But I think for the most part, for a free agent signing, someone that we depended on to come in and be a good player, I think he has
a veteran presence is really the way that I would categorize his existence on this squad.
He's certainly better than Eli Apple was. Remember all?
He actually played and contributed. Eli Apple did not. He was released, I believe, or traded, one of the two. And then the one thing is Bouye was coming off of an injury.
Yeah.
And or a 2-game suspension, I believe. Also, and and he's come in and he has not been the weakest link on this team. And particularly he has filled a role. So it does kind of stink dealing with the foot injury, but this circle of, I don't even know. I didn't even think we were a team that had that many injuries this year. Right. We hadn't been overly crushed by injury, I felt, but it has been a rotation of crap on the offensive line. And funny that the secondary has been a revolving door, but still kind of one of the stronger components of the defense. Is that you started with J.C. Horn, now you got Gilmore. It's been it's a revolution. Bouye out the door at this point, but maybe some of the younger guys will get to play. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? That is about the top news. I tell you this, it's a sad sight to see the Panthers. Just if you look at Panthers.com and like what the team is putting out there as storylines. This is awesome. One of the main stories is a day in the life of a team photographer. Yay. That's awesome. Man, this team's terrible.
I have something that I think we could talk about. How about the Panthers officially? We talk a lot about Scott Fitterer and his free agent decisions. How about the fact that the Panthers paid Pro Bowl linebacker Denzel Perryman $1 million to play for the Raiders this season, and homeboy is going to the Pro Bowl? You heard me right. Denzel Perryman is a Pro Bowl linebacker. Dude, that's one of the things I feel like we need to talk about, man. At a day and age when we're still trying to replace Luke Kuechly, we're still trying to make our linebacking core better than it has been. We're depending on guys like Jermaine Carter Jr. to step up. And he hasn't been bad. But the fact that Denzel Perryman left us and instantly had a great deal of success, like, what's wrong with this equation? Is it the Panthers or was it Denzel Perryman? Because based off of what we've seen so far, my money is it was on the Panthers for not getting the most out of Denzel Perryman.
I agree that they probably didn't get the most out of him, but based on a business decision, it was probably better to get rid of him, which you already had invested in Shaq Thompson. And I could say if Shaq Thompson didn't have the injury this year, he is borderline Pro Bowl caliber. player this year. He's
Well,
playing
with
really
Perryman though is it's Perryman's story when it comes to free agency with the Carolina Panthers is kind of an odd one, right? A guy that you targeted early in free agency and paid a notable sum of money to come in and pay him to be a starter. Or at least it sure sounded like that. And you heard Jermaine Carter Jr., mouthing off, sounding off about how he wanted to be a starter. So, he kind of even saw that as a slight. You see this guy come in, but he is a veteran on a team that you probably could have used a guy like this, to be honest.
Yeah.
Especially if Shaq hadn't have played as well as is one of his better seasons. If he was kind of looking like regular Shaq, we would definitely be looking at this linebacker core with less forgiveness. But that picture, if you go back to that picture and you think about this, Joe Person came on with us during the beat check, I believe, one week, and we were talking about this Perryman move and how he showed up. Remember, he got a speeding ticket on the way to where is it? Spartanburg.
Wofford.
Yeah, Spartanburg, South Carolina. He gets out of the car right there with his helmet on, I guess. If that's a real picture right there. That's him showing up at training camp. But he was one of the unvaccinated. So
that's why MS that said politics got him.
Yeah. Joe Person was saying that he didn't really fit with the team. Like, not that team guy, and like this ticket, this like helmet, we're all looks at that, but it really comes, I guess, circles back to that vaccination, which I think he probably ended up getting. It seems like all of them got it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about the Perryman move for me, though, is interesting, is that it's hard to tell what to think at all about our GM at this point. In some ways, we want to, absolve him of some of the blame for this season because he's a late ad. He's done some things that a lot of people have celebrated, moving around in the draft, acquiring picks, getting Gilmore, being aggressive, in on every deal. But he hasn't been perfect either at this point. And not that we need him to be perfect, but this is one of those moments where you're sitting there and you're going, why'd you target this guy and then toss him before he even played a game? Yeah, it was right, but and I think we traded him for nothing. How do we, I guess here, I'm going to pass the mic and say, how do we think of Perryman, not of, we didn't get a Pro Bowl guy, but how do we think Perryman kind of symbolizes Scott Fitterer's job so far as GM?
I said of this season that it was going to be boom or bust. Well, I feel like the picks that Scott Fitterer have made have been either booms or busts, right? I mean, you look at guys like Hassan Reddick. We all would like him to be back. AJ Boye, we just mentioned, who went to IR, was playing well for a while. I mean, he's made some good signings, especially if Stephon Gilmore continues to play for Carolina past this season. We think that he's done some good things. CJ's young, so I'm not going to judge him in a vacuum.
Was a little expensive, though.
It was definitely expensive, especially considering how the season ended up. Right. And we are not a playoff football team, and we could definitely use the draft picks.
And you went and got Gilmore anyway.
Right.
Yeah. So with that said, I really do think as of right now, even though there have been some good moves, I think that if we're just judging fairly based on what he's done so far, there have probably been more misses by Fitterer, both in free agency and the draft, than he has, really made hits. Now, granted, we're judging in a vacuum because it's only one season.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when we still have such big missing holes at the linebacker position. And then to see a guy that was on our team that we're going to be paying apparently this year and next, that now he's going to be a Pro Bowl player for another football team. By the way, the Raiders fired their head coach this year, and they have a better record than us and are fighting for a playoff spot and won yesterday. They beat the Browns. So, yeah, man, I think if we're being real, Fitterer has not done all that great of a job in his first year.
I mean, it's got to be the biggest stain has got to be the decision to, I don't care. I mean, again, we're going to have a conversation of who was at the helm of the Sam Darnold stuff. But, the fact that we picked up a 5th-year option and there was no fight, it was just easy. Oh, yeah, we're going to pick up the 5th-year option. We're trading for him. We're going to get this 5th-year option. We believe in this guy that much. That's going to be a major stain on him and what he has, at least moving forward. And here's the tough part about it. Because they decided to do that, the only people on this roster that are going to be here next year is Sam Darnold. And you got to bet that he is going to be playing for the Carolina Panthers because he is being paid $18 million. There isn't an answer in the free agency, because even if we go about that and we start trying to talk about quarterbacks in the free agency, well, now we're having to deal with what are we doing for the offensive line? Have we fixed that? There's too many holes to actually pursue a quarterback in this offseason. So Sam Darnold's it, and you guys better be used to seeing his face. So,
Cody, tease the poll and the discussion we're going to get to that's related to that.
Oh, tease the poll. Take me on a date first. So, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, if you notice our chat room here on YouTube, I've posted a poll saying who will the Carolina Panthers quarterback be in 2030, or I said 2032, 2022. Cam Newton, Sam Darnold, a drafted quarterback, or a free agent quarterback. We've still got the rest of the show left to go, but right now, 36-30, Cam Newton is narrowly winning out. We'll check the poll a little bit later to see what the stats are on. But, man, there's a lot of votes for Sam Darnold, too. And I think it's kind of starting to dawn on people how real of a possibility it is.
It's more than a possibility. I'm telling you guys, it's a certainty. He is being paid $18 million regardless of what we do. He is not getting released. And let's be real about it. Cam Newton is not going to want to come back and play for this regime. Or is he going to want to come back and play for a new coach and learn a new offense and have to go through all of this stuff again? I mean, listen, I know he's going to have to do it at some point, but is it going to be worth him doing that and then having to be at risk of not having an offensive line again? I don't know. But right now, you guys better be used to Sam Darnold because it's going to happen. He's the only person on this roster right now that's a quarterback that has guaranteed money that we have to pay, and that's Sam Darnold, guys. So just be prepared for that. Don't let it be a surprise. Don't let it be something that's this thing that's going to be, this big, if we do get a new coach, don't let that be a stain on that coach because that coach is only doing with what he can, right? So we got to keep in mind what we're dealing with. And Sam Darnold is being guaranteed a lot of money to play for us. Even if we release him, he's getting paid that money. It's worth keeping him on the field and then hoping that if nothing else, we tank next year and we can find a quarterback in that offseason.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there, CK. There's just too much there for them to not have Sam Darnold be the quarterback next year. Because the thing is, no matter what, you can't start out with a new quarterback next year. I mean, because you've got so many other things to fix. What's the point of putting somebody new back there that's going to suffer the same fate that the quarterbacks we've had? Only thing I ask about Cam Newton is if he doesn't play for Carolina next year, does he play?
I don't know at this point.
No,
I think he's done. If he doesn't play for Carolina, I don't think there's any teams that want him right now.
I think
I hate to say it, but I think I think too. Sorry, go ahead.
And I said this in the post game show. Like now, Cam Newton is in this position where his stats are so bad because of how bad this entire team is, the O-line, coaching, and his own play, that he's not really even going to have the stats to warrant someone picking him up next year. I mean, look how long it took the Patriots to go and pick him up.
Right. I mean, that he's not worthy of it. But,
like my thing is this: like it or not, even if Cam Newton likes it or not, he might not want to play for the Carolina Panthers this year or next year, and I can't say I'd blame him. But if he has a desire to play football next year, and we're the only game in town offering him a contract and the ability to have an off season to be able to prepare, then Cam might not have any other choice but to come back and play for the Panthers.
And who's to say Sam's going to last behind whatever line they put in front of him and not get injured. If you're Sam's backup for 3 weeks,
I would have said the same thing though about Teddy Bridgewater and his contract last year though.
True.
Yeah, but that was different. We traded him and we at least got something in return. Like nothing much, right? We didn't eat all of his contract. He's still taking the Denver is still paying him to play for them, right? They're not paying him much, but that is the case. So yeah, I don't think I don't even think it's the same scenario. I think at this point in time, you're going to talk about $18 million on 1 year. Like it'd be different if it was multiple years, then we have to cut bait, right? There is no, but I mean, since it's 1 year, I think there's no shot. It's guaranteed. It's not like if we cut him, we're getting that money back, and there's nobody in this world that's going to trade for him.
All right, that's a big hit to take.
Damn.
Man, that was 80. That was an $18 million puff up your confidence. We gave I don't know what a woman says to her man before he goes out into the world. Like what you could say to puff up somebody's chest more than it's supposed to be if he's got to go a big business meeting. But we said this. We said we were signing your 5th-year option just to prove to you we believe in you. Like we were so worried about his fragile mental, and that's interesting too. As have you seen Matt Rhule try to protect people? With that offense, he was so ginger on how he talked about it early in the season. And it was like in that game, was it the Minnesota game where he was like, "Well, the defense just got to make a stop," and the offense was terrible and stuff, and it felt like Matt Rhule was protecting their feelings because he knew that they were bad. He knew that they potentially were soft. You heard him say earlier in the season he didn't want to embarrass anybody. That's why he didn't take Darnold out again. So let's bring us to the headline of the show. It's the blame game. Who's to blame? What's the blame? I guess would be the game, but this is more in reference to what's happened this past few days in reference to Rhule and the struggles that the Panthers are facing, as well as Cam Newton at the quarterback position. Cody, were you here by any chance? Because I think I might have found it.
Yeah, I found it. His initial statement.
Yeah, so after one of the plays that was problematic for the Carolina Panthers, and look, is that we try to give context for everything as much as possible. We defend Cam a lot and have on this podcast for a long time and say you have to think about the totality of things, the offensive line, blah, 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 stuff like this. But we were without a kicker this past week, right? And so that did change the kind of game that Rhule would call, and some of the positions that they were going to be in were altered because of that. So we went for it more on 4th down. We, in some difficult places, we went for maybe not trying to get all of the yards on 3rd down, knowing that 4th down would be a play, and that was seen as a win. So the Carolina Panthers are moving the ball down and get to a 4th and 1. After, I believe it was a big Cam run. Was that the one that there was a fumble to, and then DJ Moore picked it up? It was around that drive. Maybe it wasn't the same drive.
I don't think it was the same one.
But we get a 4th and 1, and it was a bubble screen pass, it looked like originally. And then it turned out to be a run pass option, RPO. And Matt Rhule, when asked about it after the game, said that Cam, didn't execute it right and made the wrong play. Do you got that audio? Let's hear that.
Yeah, I do. Matt Rhule, in essence, said that because 24 was blitzing, he should have handed the ball off for a run, but they had 24 covered. We'll break it down a little bit further, but let you hear Matt Rhule and what he had to say about it right after the game.
It's a zone read play. It shouldn't be. It's a zone read. There's a bubble on there in case an unblocked blitzer comes, but we point the might point, we had that guy blocked, so that's just an error by the quarterback. That should be should be a handoff first down, or he pulls the ball. There's only one guy over there, so just a poor execution, but it was the right play call by Jeff. I think it's going to be a first down.
So sorry if that was low, if it was sort of hard to hear. Essentially, he's saying that 24 was blitzing, but they had him blocked, so the ball should have been handed off instead of throwing the bubble.
Or you tuck it and run.
Or
he did say, or you tuck it and run.
Right. Well, as many people pointed out on Twitter, that 24 was in fact not blocked, and it was an option for Cam to throw that ball. Do you have the audio from his?
I do.
Now he's making amendments, right? And right after the game, he didn't have a chance to watch film and all that. But yeah, dude, he looks so upset, so depressed. A face says 1,000 words. But listen to Matt Rhule and what he had to say after he got some chance to watch film and after the internet started roasting him.
And tell me if there is an echo or anything, right?
After the bubble, was it the same as you had?
Echo.
Yeah, echo.
Echo.
Maybe just try muting your microphone.
Yeah. Hold on. Change this right here. Sorry, guys. Live production.
Obviously, when you came off the field.
And I think when you go back and look at it, you can see, the free safety was kind of rocking down a little bit. You can see some of the thought process that Cam had. I can see some of what got him. Obviously, we're calling that play to, run the quarterback. That being said, I'm sure Jeff would be the first guy to wish we called something else. If we do throw the ball out there, like at least get it to Robbie. Maybe he can bounce off the guy and tackle. But yeah, I mean, that guy's protected. We don't need to throw it off that blitzer. That is who we're going to. But I can certainly see some of that. So, it's an unfortunate play. I don't think it's just one play in the game. I don't think it lost the game. It certainly didn't help. But I think all of us would love to have that play back.
I'm gonna punch him in his face.
Yeah,
a little bad at the end. But why? It certainly helped,
man. Dude.
So this is now David Newton's gonna press him on this. I think again. Let me see. I believe that's the next question.
All right, let's go to Joe Person, followed by Steve Reed.
Nope, it was Joe Person that pressed him.
Hey, sorry, Matt, but same play, 24, the nickel, 2 on that. And it looked like Amir had him, but you had mentioned a zone read, being an option there. How would that have worked with Amir picking up 24?
Yeah, he's not picking him up, Joe. Yeah, he's in the zone read. So the mic is 24, pushing out to 24, the nickel. So when he blitzes, it doesn't matter. The backside tackle goes to the mic, and then the scraping tight end comes around. So it's the same play we scored on last week on third down. I think we've scored 3 or 4 touchdowns on it so far this year with Cam. What happened is that free safety is kind of showing down weak and disguising. So as a result, now that's what they were doing. They were disguising and running back to the post. So because he was down kind of in that gray area, I think Cam ended up – I haven't talked to Cam yet, but Cam ended up moving the mic inside to 24, which then leaves the blitzer. Even as such, we would still like to hand the ball off and have Amir run through the nickel.
Run through him.
His design, we push out to the nickel so we don't have to throw a bubble off him. We zone to the mic, we split around for the will, and if there's any extra blocker there, Cam Newton runs him over. So that's the thought process with the play. It's why the play worked last week on third down for a touchdown. It's why it worked against Washington.
You only needed to get a yard, right? You didn't need to bust off a crazy play, and then let's also be clear here is that it's a RPO, right? Didn't he call it that? So doesn't that mean run pass option? So RPO? Passing, yeah. So passing is an option in that play. And it looked like Abdullah would have just run right in. He said you run through him. Like it did. It didn't look like it was going to work. That's what I'm going to say. And then Cam Newton made it look horrendous by throwing it backwards, or whatever. And then Robbie got blown up. And it was just like a metaphor for this season. But I don't know how I feel about his reaction to this.
Can we talk about, like, this is Monday, right? Like, this is the Monday afternoon press conference, right?
Still had talked to Cam.
How has he not talked to Cam yet?
Yep.
That's
Like,
strange
how-
to me too.
How is it that, I mean, listen, I don't know what the inner workings of an NFL locker room look like, but I kind of feel like if you've been watching film, you watch it with your quarterback and you have that conversation about what that looks like. I don't understand how it's possible. Like, is this just the gross neglect that we've been talking about that we're seeing? Like, there is no, like, Matt Rhule is just, just delegating everything to his coaches as opposed to taking things as a leader and actually going and addressing these. If you're gonna throw somebody under the bus, talk to them about it to their fucking face, right? Like, he hasn't met with Cam Newton after this, and he was talking all that shit in the press conference after the game. Come on now.
Yeah, and CK, I think what it speaks to a little bit is not only his perceived lack of leadership, but his quote unquote leadership style. He was asked by Carolina, by our man Carolina Blitz. He was being asked about what do you do to motivate your team during a 4-game. I have it, dude.
We gotta hear this.
What do you do to motivate your team during a 4-game losing streak? And it's a very short, simple, to the point clip. And this is what he has to say.
This deep into the season.
I don't do anything. They do it. I mean,
Losing streak.
The best part is
I don't do anything.
I don't do anything.
That needs to be. Oh, we need to keep that.
dude.
clip.
Somebody clipped that already, Greg. Don't worry. Somebody has already cut the back seconds off of it, and it's like, "What do you do?" And he goes, "I don't do anything," and then it just stops. It's wonderful. Cody, is that, in one hand you sit there and you go, man, college coaches think they're too much of a role player. And then they come and play with a bunch of professionals who have a bunch of lives and different things like that. So on one hand, you say they can be kind of over in people's business, but this is like him trying to not be in their business about motivation, which sounds, if you were taking that like as a, you could use that as a strength. The problem is, it's what Matt Rhule is. It's not what he says. Sometimes it's what he doesn't say.
Yeah.
And he didn't say, this isn't about motivation. This is about continuity. This isn't about motivating the players. This is about us coming together as a team. Like, I mean, I know these are tropes that, or whatever the word is for these kind of little sayings that coaches throw out there. But it's not like with the Cam thing, and we'll kind of circle it back to the Cam because that's where we got on it, is that it's not that Cam made a mistake that's problematic. And you even calling it out, it's the first thing you call out in the post game of a thing you haven't even really looked at closely, like of why the play didn't work. I mean, you're on the field, you've got all that going down, but it was so determined in his mind that it was like, Cam fucked that up. Right. Jeff made the right call. Like, it was so, and I don't even, maybe he is right that Cam fucked it up, but at the same time, it's like, why do you guys say it?
But also at the same time,
you didn't say it about Sam, and then he went out and said even more about the elite QB.
Even before he knew that it was Sam, or that it was Cam's fault, he was willing to put the blame on him. Before he had seen the film, he was willing to put the blame on him. Now, John Ellis on Twitter put that, something to explain that mindset, that he has a, like a George Seifert philosophy that the team leaders have to be in charge of the motivation and the team and guys on the team that play the game. But to me, I think that's bullshit, man. You're the head coach. The team lives and dies with you. If you're not able to get your players to play harder, then you're not worth your job. You're not worth your weight in salt.
But my problem with that is if that is the approach he takes as a coach, right? Then why the hell are you telling your quarterback at the beginning of the year, I don't want you to be a leader, right? Like, I mean,
yeah. Remember that? He said that he didn't want Sam to be a leader. He just wanted to learn the playbook.
Right. And if you want that, like, if that's the case, if that's the type of, coaching that you want to have, then why are you getting rid of veteran players like Denzel Perryman in favor of somebody who's not even started in this league? Like, I mean, everything you're talking about is contradictory. He hasn't gotten anybody on this squad like that has actually been a leader. Everybody he's let go of, everybody that he has, like, obviously let's talk about him letting go of Cam. That was a leader. Like, if that's what he wanted, he signed him and now he wants to throw him under the bus. Is that how you actually like have Cam motivate this team by saying, well, Cam's the problem, really? I mean, essentially that's what he's saying. He's not coming out and saying that, but we all know, and we're all reading in between the lines, there's an issue with that approach. Your coach is supposed to motivate. Your coach, that's why they just don't come out of the halftime. They come out flat. It's because they don't have a coach that's out there giving them any type of excitement to play for. Like, I don't care what you say. I mean, motivation is a big part of this. And, as Amir Abdullah may have a different opinion, but motivation is big. You have to be self-motivated, right? But at the same time, we all know what it's like to be hyped up and how much better you feel about yourself when you're hyped up. When you get that energy going, you're going to come out with a bit of fire. You see it happen with the teams like the Saints when Drew Brees was the leader. You see it with teams that have just that quarterback or that defensive player who's just going to be just hyping them up before the game. I mean, yes, that's great, but you need your coach to do that too. And our halftime performance after halftime is a prime example of what type of coach Matt Rhule is.
Yeah, TK, you're hitting the nail on the head tonight, man. And I think to even echo some of your sentiments about leadership, we've been wondering whether or not he's lost the locker room. And I started this comment earlier. This was from Robbie Switzer. He said, I was in the front row behind the Panthers bench versus Buffalo. The players were getting frustrated with Rhule. So it appears that this is something that we're not just experiencing as fans. I imagine it's even double for players on this football team. And then Justin comes in and he makes a good point, talking about Ron Rivera. There's a clip of Ron Rivera hyping up his team before the game tonight. He says head coaches should be able to motivate their team. It's almost like it's in the job description, you would think. Right. But yeah, tremendous comments, man.
I guess the last
on that, go ahead. Can I say on that note, is this examples of like where like are we dealing with the two sides of like the coaching? So if we were to compare Urban Meyer and Matt Rhule, they're two separate styles of coach, right? One was super aggressive, didn't treat their players with respect, like treated them like they were kids, right? And the other is so hands off that he believes these guys are too adult, that you don't need me to motivate you, all that stuff. Right now, I think those two coaches, being that they're going to be fired, is going to be a prime example of where you need to meet in the middle and actually be successful as a coach. And I think right now, I think this is a prime example of the fact that one coach, one way, just because one coach fails at doing it his way doesn't mean the other coach was right in doing it his way either, right? I think Matt Rhule is a failed coach, and I think it has a lot to do with that.
Let's go ahead and jump into some cat calls before we talk about Cam Newton's future, because that is where the headlines are on Charlotte Observer. Of course, Scott Fowler's coming out here saying it's time for him to take a curtain call. Deadspin's got a story up right now. The end is here for Cam, so we'll talk about that a little bit after the cat calls. The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like
who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey, it's Zach here out of Canapolis again. Listen, I got a question for all three of you. I'm really enjoying the show. What do y'all think about all the so-called questionable penalties that's hurt us? I mean, like today when the guy was pushed out of bounds and they hit our side of the team. He was clearly in bounds when the guy pushed him out of bounds. Just want to have y'all's thoughts on the questionable calls with the referees this whole season with us.
all season.
Yes. I got to say, it's a call over.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was say it's not just us. Officiating is horrible around the league, but I always break it down to this is a television show. I still always believe that the NFL has a narrative for who they want to win most games. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
I mean, listen, I've echoed that sentiment. You know, and you weren't here last week when I pointed out a very clear storyline that they have brewing that they seem to be really pushing. And that is, you know, you see, for instance, Mac Jones not getting fined or suspended for his clearly egregious, twisting of Brian Burns' ankle, right? And what have people been saying about Mac Jones? It's Tom Brady incarnate. It's reborn Tom Brady. This is exactly how Tom Brady's career started. All that stuff. That's what's being said. Well, guess who's also another possible favorite to go to the Super Bowl? Well, Tom Brady. Now, tell me that's not a storyline this NFL is hyping up, a Tom Brady versus Mac Jones, the old versus the new. Tell me that's not what the NFL is pushing for. And it just feels that way when you see the calls going. Like, let's talk about, you guys want to talk about something? Let's talk about how Tom Brady is taunting on every single fucking play in that game last week. Every game, like every play, like not even just to that one where he walked to the sideline, but to the one where he walked, like he was literally just talking down to a defensive player that just made a play on him, right? He's just like, you could see him talking shit. And then you see him literally yelling at the refs and being like overly aggressive with them and not a fucking flag. Tell me this isn't a damn TV show.
He told one of the Saints coaches, defensive coaches, to fuck off or something.
Yes.
Dude,
he said, go fuck yourself to him. And he like ran over there to say something to her.
Like, and tell me it's not a damn fuck. I mean, like, listen, I was on the fence a little bit about it, but after seeing how this year has played out, there is a clear storyline they want to see happen by the end of this season, and that is a Mac Jones versus Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, because that is going to get the ratings, period.
And they've been pushing for years for a Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers one too.
Yeah, that it seems to me. I was gonna say that it seems to me like those are the Super Bowls they want. So, and they even said on one of the broadcasts this week that Super Bowl I was in Los Angeles, and it was the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Green Bay Packers. Well, the Super Bowl this year is in Los Angeles. They want the Chiefs and the Packers.
I mean, you definitely want
between those two matches to me.
You definitely want I mean, if you're the NFL, you're hoping for a Brady versus Rodgers NFC Championship game.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And then a Mahomes versus Mac Jones in the AFC. I think those storylines will, because then, especially if the Patriots make it and Tom Brady makes it, that would be a good headline. I think they want Dallas. I mean, I don't know. I think this is, all right. Let's go back to the penalties. We've gotten hurt a couple of times. There's been ones with who's our Hassan Reddick, right, has gotten a couple of roughing the passers that were faults. This one there was one where we got a roughing the passer and the guy grabbed him. What they said, he went low on him, I guess, but he was just tackling him, like as in he was standing there trying to throw the football and he grabbed his ankles. I think they got one for that. But then there was the one on the side, and this is where Rhule. Did you see Rhule? And if somebody, I was just Googling and looking for it, I cannot find it. Where he acts like someone tried to push him.
Yeah, just get
and then it's just like, God, it almost seems like
cringe, dude. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's starting to get like, I thought that Rhule was supposed to come here, and I was sold that he was this team dude, that he is such an upstanding blue collar work up, do things the right way, and we're building this for all of that, and like how great of a person he is. And right now, I don't really even want to hang out. I wouldn't want to hang out with the guy. Like, he don't seem that cool to me. Like, and I wish somebody, if anybody can find that pic of him on the sidelines, getting upset and trying to It was just like, oh God. But the Panthers have been hurt by penalties, but we've been bailed out some too at the same time. We've had some problems. But really our problems are so much bigger than those penalties. But the personal foul, I almost feel like we've got to find a way to stop. The NFL needs to find a way to not let the refs dictate games. And that is when it is clear that they get something wrong, that they try to get it right. And I've been saying that the NFL should be able to call in and intercede on any play if it's just clear and obvious immediately.
Game changing.
Yes, and it stinks. It just stinks when the momentum of games, the outcomes of games are flagged. Now, at the same time, they were calling everything. Weren't they calling that game tight? I feel like they were calling holds on everybody, and maybe I'm wrong.
There were a lot of egregious holds that they didn't call though. Like I was convinced they weren't going to call that one against Reddick. That was like so bad. Like it took them forever to throw a flag on that. It was just I mean I agree. I think it's definitely a I don't know. We've been harping on it. The problem right now is like we have this mindset of like it's hard to blame anybody other than Matt Rhule or the way that this team has been playing, for our failures. But at the same time, we got to keep in mind like a lot of these games that we've had within reach have been just completely decimated by horrible officiating as well. So I'm not on the train of like, listen, it's all Matt Rhule, it's all this. I think we all can agree it's a collective effort. But I will say this year has been exponentially a bad year for officiating on our team. Now, I will say this much: we've talked about this too. I mean, Again, we can get really deep into conspiracy, but we all know when Matt Rhule was hired and David Tepper gave him that massive contract, all the other owners were very pissed off, right? And so, like in my opinion, would it also be that far-fetched for there to be like this? Because it doesn't feel like other people are getting the calls that we're getting. Like it just doesn't. And it's I think it feels like it's fair to say that maybe there's some league directive saying, listen, let's fuck the Panthers over because, like blackballing. I mean, let's be honest. We talk about what happens with like Junior Gillette, right? And we talk about Matt Rhule with all this shit too, right? You talk about what's happened with Eric Reed and Colin Kaepernick. Blackballing somebody is absolutely a thing in this league, and I think that's not outside of the realm of possibility for their.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the league as a personnel, but not with these calls.
I mean, what I
overpaid the coach, and on top of that, man, is that they should be looking at the college coaches and be getting mad at them. I almost am surprised at how little NFL coaches make.
Yeah, but also it's like like my mindset on the referees. Yeah, death taxes and shitty NFL referees. Like they're not even full time, And with all the money that the NFL makes, with money going up and up and up, they have no full time referees. This year they're trying to do more of the sky judge, like overturning calls before they get too bad. I don't know, dude. At the end of the day, my logic remains the same. Even if CK is right, and there's this, NFL dark web of people that are like saying, hey, fuck over the Panthers, they suck. Even if that's true, it should never be reason for us to lose like that. If the referees are the single cause of you winning and losing a football game, your team didn't do enough to win. I'm a firm believer in that. And that's not me, saying the referees.
There are some calls that change the game. So it's not that only that, but I'm not complaining about the refs.
Was there any one game this year where you feel like the Panthers lost because the referees called such a terrible game?
I think there were two, but I can point out games in the NFL where it's.
I mean, I'm just talking about like us this season.
Yeah, I think there was two. I think there were two towards the beginning of the year that maybe we weren't necessarily close, but they were momentum shifting penalties or not lack of penalties. Like fourth down, not getting the pass interference when it was a blatant pass interference, or give a 3rd and 20 when we were being held and we ended up not getting to the quarterback because of a just ginormous hold. Things like that. I mean, I think those are momentum shifters that can cause a game to completely get out of hand. Is it the only reason we would lose? No, but I think we all can understand like those game-changing moments that can happen. I think that's happened a couple of times this year. Again, regardless of
and it's not worth it to talk about when you're a bad team. If we were a really good team and we were trying to get a 1 seed or something, then we would care about this. But right now, it's kind of hard when you're down 40. I mean, So I do want to get to this these comments. Bring up these 3 comments from the guy that's got the. I mean, I haven't seen him in the chat before. The Burgundy, the guy that's saying this.
He's the only Rhule defender I've seen in the chat.
All right, his very first comment was a little bit earlier than that about how if Rhule gets these guys to the playoffs next year, everybody's going to shut up.
Yep.
Oh, for sure. It's the exact same thing can happen with Ron Rivera.
All right, 1 maybe. All right. And I'll just say maybe at this point, because right now that like kind of that tells us like is that you are putting a lot of responsibility of him getting to the playoffs on him. Like we are helpless agents and he's the guy dragging them in. Now, I will say if this team is all of a sudden playoff bound next year, all of a sudden, sure, we would be thinking differently about Matt Rhule and the entire organization. But here's the thing is that like that's also like crazy if I had a 10-inch dick, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's like a if, like it's like if I had
what do I say about ifs? What's my saying about ifs? If my aunt had nuts, she'd be my uncle.
And if I had $1 million just show up in my mail tomorrow, I would be happier. Right, and I would forget about all my bills right now. So this is the one thing, and then it goes on to point to Rivera next as being an example of what the argument is. Don't be too quick to fire. Now, a lot of people were very concerned about Rivera at that time. I remember that year, and I do remember the calls for his head. 2 things to think about, though, when it comes to that. The Carolina Panthers, I think, played well in that season at late. Right, like late in the season, and we didn't look good by any means, but there were some things that we had to hang our hat on. Yeah, it's like we could see Cam Newton was the future. You had these things that you could think about the future believing in. So I don't know if that's a great comparison. I do understand not to fire too quickly, to bring in kind of to set the timetable further back. But the problem is that what if we're just beaten spouses and we just say that one day he's not going to beat us anymore? Right. That person, should they give them more time?
I mean, dude, my thing with our guy Geppetto, in the chat room here, he says the first 3 games with Rhule he was a smart tactical head coach. I don't know whoever called him that. But my thing is this, like, you can't just take all of the good film and all of the good evidence and say, oh yeah, but this is reason enough that he should get a chance. Well, what about us backsliding? I mean, the fact that we're worse this year than we were last year under the same head coach, the fact that the quarterback position since 2018, the Panthers have had a total of, I believe, 8 different quarterbacks play the position. Looking at how Teddy Bridgewater was handled, looking at how Sam Darnold has been handled, looking at how Cam Newton has been handled, looking at how Matt Rhule throws players under the bus in press conferences, it's just, dude, there isn't much of a reason for someone to say that Matt Rhule deserves to be here another year.
What are the reasons? There's only and there might be, right? So one is fear of moving on too quickly, right? Is a fear that what is going on the field right now is not really reflective of what Matt Rhule could be. Right. Fear that he is what this brilliant or whatever they thought he was going to be when they hired him. And I think the only other one is that the defense went from bottom tee it wrong 2 years ago to, I say top 10. I know people keep saying 1s and 2s. I'm sorry, but I don't believe you're a 1 and 2 defense when you're not winning games.
No,
I mean, it's easy for that defense to do that when you spend an entire draft on them and then the first pick of the next round on them and then build into your entire free agency. I mean, he basically sold the entire team out for defense, and we're still not the best defense in the league. We're a decent defense. We're still not what I feel like they invested in. You know, we should be a top defense based on everything we've invested into this defense. Look, Matt Rhule. Oh, I had something. This is why I always write stuff down whenever I'm talking about it because I always forget whenever I get into a rant. But get on to my thoughts on Matt Rhule. The guy, I think the only other argument you could make for Matt Rhule, a reason why they would keep him, would be the contract. Wouldn't it?
The contract.
That could be the only other reason, and that's not even a positive reason.
I mean, the contract, and then look, we were hearing this last year too. Geppetto is back in the chat saying Christian McCaffrey has missed 50 games since Rhule has been here, and we haven't had a run game since. Hence why he hasn't had much of a rushing attack. Chuba has had fumbling issues. But when you build your entire team off of the presence of one player who hasn't proven that he can even be there consistently, that's on the guy making the game plan. Like, come on here. I mean, this is something that we've been saying forever. This is why you don't build a football team around a running back in the first place. But it's like if you lose one player, everything that we said earlier in the season remains true now. If you lose one player that isn't a quarterback, right, a franchise-level quarterback, and your entire offense falls off of a cliff, you've got real problems, man.
Yep.
But on top of that, no head coach should think that they're going to go and be competent and able to move the football in the NFL with an offensive line that has been this terrible and this mismanaged under his regime. It's unacceptable.
Do you think that one is like if Matt Rhule would have had Christian McCaffrey for every game that he had coached so far, how dramatically different would the outcomes be at this point? You know, would it be like all of a sudden, you know, we have 3 more wins this season,
right?
4 more wins. I don't know if I believe that, but here is the thing that, and Geppetto, I think first I want to thank you for making the comments in the chat room and being part of the show. The number's 252-228-5098. You know, I think that we do need to field this conversation in a authentic and balanced way. It's like, you know, maybe are we too in our feelings when we are going straight for Rhule's throat, where you got people saying, I don't like to talk about firing people, but I want this dude fired. You know what I mean? Like you got Drew going #fire Rhule, Gus get it going and tagging him in the dang thing, you know, and stuff like this. But I don't think the wins, the win total, or even the running game itself have been the real concerns that have arisen for me for why I don't know if I'm not confident in Rhule going forward. Like, I don't think those are the things, you know, it's like, is that you could say, well, hey, we walked 10 miles together and I didn't make any mistakes. And I'd be like, you're right, man. You led us through those wilderness for 10 miles and it wasn't that bad. But for the last 5 miles, there have been a bazillion mistakes. And you also look like you might be like a different person, like body snatch. Because look, think about this, is we've gone from a guy who was told us he was going to build in a process-oriented, driven way and all of this. And his offensive coordinator's fired already. He's not thinking about, like, he's not giving us a vision of the building process. He's falling into the fan trap. And I think he listens to the news more than anybody in the conversation. Anybody. Now he comes out right after being too hard on Cam. And now he's like, oh, well, maybe there was something to it, you know, and it's just a wishy-washiness to me. And the personnel decisions that have been made in the last 18 months with the loss of draft capital going forward,
Mm-hmm.
that I think that those things, those transgressions are so serious to our future safety and health that they have to be taken into account, have to be legitimately looked at as fireable offenses.
Agreed. Yeah, I was going to bring up your point. You made that on Sunday that it's not about the wins for Rhule, it's where he's left us, and you're absolutely right about that. I think that's the biggest thing for me too, man. You hit the nail on the head. You know.
All right, let's go to the next call. Let's see if it's maybe this one.
What's going on, boys? It's Coach from Wilmington. When I called the other day, I told you guys what we need to see: Amir Abdullah and Chuba. We need to see our running backs in the open field. Amir Abdullah in the open field. Touchdown, right? You know what I mean? Like, these guys in the open field, they're explosive. I said we need to see some jet sweeps. Robbie Anderson, jet sweep. Why he gets like 20 yards on that? Then we go right back to him, and he gets the first down. Like, it's just the play calls that we needed. We need to risk it, you know what I mean? And goddamn, Zane Gonzalez. Obviously, we didn't have a kicker. This game would have been a lot closer than it was. But I mean, it gave the offensive coordinator. I mean, obviously, you have to go down and go for it on fourth down. I mean, he could have made some better plays, and obviously, the plays that he put together would have been fantastic if we had offensive line. But needless to say, I mean, like, we went out and did those things. We found our running backs in the open field. We did jet sweeps, and we saw Cam Newton get out of the pocket, run, like, let him do what he does best. We put Gilmore on Diggs. He held Diggs to only 4 receptions for like 35 yards, and unfortunately, one of those was a TD, which was good for my fantasy team. But, I mean, all in all, it wasn't. I mean, yes, we lost, but it wasn't that bad of a game. Other than the fact that, I mean, our defense, Gabriel Davis, that dude tore us up. But, I mean, his last touchdown was just a nail in the coffin. We were trying to get to Josh Allen, but, I mean, the game was already over at that point. But, I mean, it was a pretty good game, I feel. I'm going to call you guys back if I come up get.
Nice. Appreciate your call. And I mean, he talks about lack of play calling. Why not see more jet sweeps, get Robbie Anderson available in the backfield, be more creative, especially. And we've even said this at times this year, last year, when your offensive line can't do a damn thing, sometimes you have to get a little bit gimmicky. You know what I mean? You have to do some more jet sweeps. You have to do the things to get the ball out of the hands fast.
Mm-hmm.
You have to fight to get yards by any means necessary.
Right.
So I do think that is a very pointed criticism. Again, we've seen a very small sample size of Jeff Nixon, and I'm not really going to go crazy and blame him for too much either, because
it's been fine. The play calling has been fine,
and it's not even the how good or bad the play calling has been. But it's like every other person on this football team, Nixon has been thrust into a situation that is damn near impossible to be successful in.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm not going to freak out on him. And in the press conference, like what you heard Matt Rhule said, they had been successful on the goal line with that play a couple of times, the one they called on 4th and 1. So, I think Jeff Nixon might be okay, but everything else on the football team is so bad. And again, going back to, let me find him, my man Geppetto in the chat room here, he says, I just want him to have a legitimate offseason and a healthy CMC for one season. Well, understand that you're not guaranteed either of those things.
Right.
I mean, you just aren't.
What was wrong with the offseason this year?
Nothing.
Well, he has had a legitimate offseason this year, but and the way the world is now, with a million different fucking COVID variants coming out every Saturday, it's like you're not guaranteed to have a full offseason. And based on the last 2 seasons, you're not guaranteed to have a Christian McCaffrey, no matter how bad you want it to happen. Mm-hmm. Like Christian in 2 years has not proven that his body can withstand a full NFL season. So
And
I don't think those are good enough excuses to take the heat off of him.
I don't think they're excuses. What I would say is it's not an excuse like he could have been better. I think that the problem, Geppetto, right now is how is it this bad?
Right.
You know, it's not like what it could have been under better circumstances. Well, everything could be better under better circumstances. It's remarkable how far how much we've been derailed in just 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever, to the point where there's no cohesion on the coaching staff. There's no continuity of vision between the front office and the coach. The personnel decisions seem erratic at best. At worst, they seem almost like a meth head is making them at times.
Right.
Like put one guy in, put another in. Like, I don't know what to do.
And the nail in Rhule's coffin right now is
Sam Darnold.
But the lack of any real progress, right? We can talk about last year. He actually did better than I think a lot of us thought he was going to do.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
But
totally.
Keep in mind, he was still dealing with a little bit of the regime that Ron Rivera had in place, right? So, I mean, when you think about it, like a coach's first year is largely, it's sort of like, let's talk about presidencies, right? When you have a president, for instance, let's talk about Obama's first term, right? His first year was bad because he inherited a horrible situation, like one of the worst. And we blamed, like a lot of people blamed him for his first year being a bad presidency because he just was not. I mean, it's impossible to do what he did, which was come in and just be able to turn it around immediately.
Say things like unemployment's as highest it's ever been when in his first year. Like
what you should really judge somebody's presidency off of is their second year. I think that rings true for
their
coach.
Second term.
I think it rings true for a coach. I think their second year is truly their ability to have their fingerprints be the identity of this team, right? And I don't think the first year offers that. I think the second year does. And what we've seen is a complete regression of what our team was. We have no identity, and we have decisions that are constantly being made that make you scratch your head, picking up Sam Darnold's fifth-year option. Let's be real about something. Stupidest decision you can have. I don't want to continue to just hash out the same stuff, but I think it's to the point, Geppetto, he's wanting to, defend Rhule. You got to keep in mind, this guy has been doing horrible things for this franchise for the past year and a half. And every single one of them, he's having to, turn his back on immediately.
Let's just say there's 3 critical areas that seem to raise some giant red flags for Matt Rhule. All right. Number 1 is on the field. This team is, whether or not they've underperformed, whatever it's not good right now. I mean, we've had 3 games in this one season that could be argued are the worst games in Panther history. Like each one of them, there's an argument. The Giants, the Patriots, and then the other one, what was the third? The Dolphins. All 3 of these games, there are real arguments to be made that they could be the worst game in Panthers history statistically. Now, it depends on what stat you latch on and this and that, but they're definitely top 10, top 7 worst games of all performances of Panther history. Like, they're up there. So on the field, there have been some serious red flags, and it's not about us just losing. It's like, God, like, what in the world is happening up in here? The second thing is when it comes to personnel decisions. There have been some giant personnel positions, and I don't like to nitpick every person that, like, I think the Denzel Perryman is kind of like, oh, well, we found a guy that found a place on another team and got a bunch of tackles and has been and so he got voted the Pro Bowl. Like, I don't want to overlatch onto that. But for me, it's the personnel decisions, the revolving door at quarterback. Whether whoever you want the quarterback to be, I don't even care which name you pick, is that we don't have quarterback right now, today or tomorrow, it looks like. And this offensive line has been so offensive. And that all those decisions were made at the same time that you traded away the future a lot of the future buying power of this team. And then the third component, so those personnel decisions that are both immediate and long-term have been some serious red flags that come out about the wisdom going forward with this team. And then the third one is that I don't really right now see a strong team relationship between Rhule and the guys. I don't see this like a brotherhood being built. And I don't know if you can see that, but I don't know if the fight is there for Rhule that I've seen for other people.
How about the
believe in
Lions?
him.
How about the Lions? They started off losing every fucking game, and now they're out there competing and beating the Cardinals and shit. Like the Lions are playing for Dan Campbell in a way that the Panthers are not playing for Matt Rhule. How about this? Our division rival, New Orleans Saints, are missing what it seems to be half of their fucking football team. And yet they're managing to win football games. They're out there managing to, make a push. I think right now they're in the playoffs. They're the 6th wild card spot because they jumped us, even though we beat them earlier this year. It's one thing if Matt Rhule and this football team had a bunch of really close games, but for us to lose all 4 games to the NFC East, we had a very easy schedule this year. Our schedule was not supposed to be one of the factors that hurt us this year, but it is, and it did. And we got absolutely destroyed a couple times this season, and that's on Matt Rhule. And the last point that I'll make about it is the fact of the matter is you have one of the worst offensive lines in football, and you have 2 promising young offensive linemen on your football team that you just drafted, and you can't bother to get them some playing time. Just today, he mentioned, Brady Christensen needs an offseason. Why does he need an offseason? Say something that
where
makes
are we
sense.
in right now?
Basically,
It almost shows you don't know how to think of, like, what, you're not making the playoffs now. And we knew that, and we weren't expecting. I didn't need the playoffs to be my measuring stick for this season at all. Really, I continue to say this is that, like, it seems like they are giving us they're not giving us a lot of reasons to believe in them.
Right.
That's it. It's like Matt Rhule is not in every press conference and every moment that he is what's going down, whether it's firing Joe Brady, whether that's the right move or the wrong move, whether it's this or that. It's just like nothing is going, you know what? It's all right. We lost these games, but we're getting young. It seems like, oh my God, I don't know how I can go into battle with this guy. And then this, like, Cam Ervin, dude. Cam Ervin has finally caught up with us. I got to believe this is that we have arguably 2 of the worst offensive linemen in the history of Panthers football on this team at the same time. In Cam Ervin as well as John Miller guy. And I got to say, like, is that that's a serious diss to say you're among the worst of what, like, look at what this is what Cam Ervin does. Whoop, like, what is he doing? Hey.
But no, Brady Christensen, his arms are too short. He might be a liability, Tony.
Right.
His arms are too short, so therefore we have to go with that. Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel has better vision than Cam Ervin.
Can I
shout out Joey?
Can I tell you something that is going to be kind of funny to think about? The letting go of Joe Brady is the reason Matt Rhule is going to be fired. Now, not because Joe Brady was a great offensive coordinator. I was calling for his head too. But now there was only one person that we could blame after Joe Brady left. Joe Brady took a lot of the fault, and it took a lot of my heat. And it wasn't until he left that I turned my heat vision to Matt Rhule. So Matt Rhule letting go of Joe Brady may be the final nail in his coffin.
Yep.
He was the fall
Then he throws
guy.
his hands up. Like, what? Throws his hands up.
He was the
Look at
fall
this.
guy,
I
man.
like this one right here where he goes, "What?
Yeah, he
What was
throws
that
it.
like? Wait a minute.
Wait.
Wait a minute. Come on, somebody call a flag here. Somebody call a flag. The flag's on you."
Embarrassing, man. And how? Okay, but like
I think
this is
John Miller's the worst, man.
It's
I
such
can
a
understand getting beat on the outside, and you shouldn't be really probably playing it as a left tackle, and he's just doing it because he's getting paid. But that guard, man, I ain't never seen people just walk past a guard. It's like a security guard that is taking a nap at the store right now, and you just walk right past them.
Okay, dude, Geppetto, thank you for being in the chat because you're giving us like all of our stuff to go on tonight. This is the worst argument in the world that you're gonna hinder Brady Christensen's development. How do you know unless you give him the chance to do it?
And
by
how
the
can
way,
he be
when-
worse than that? And
when
if
Brady
he is, why'd
Christensen-
you draft him?
When Brady Christensen was playing earlier this year, he looked good. He was PFF's highest rated offensive tackle in all of football that week. Oh, but then people cared that it was against backups instead of Chase Young. Do bullshit. Give Brady Christensen an opportunity to play. You're not going to ruin his development. Rookies play on the offensive line all the time. You are just simply not playing him. And the fact that our coach will not give him or Deontay Brown a chance, dude, that shows you this man has not one fucking iota what he's
Two
doing.
things on this. One is, what should we think about? What has given us any confidence in Matt Rhule's personnel decisions to give him the benefit of the doubt that this guy isn't ready, but Cam Ervin is the better option?
The one thing is Hassan Reddick, and that is the only thing this regime can hold their hat on right now, or hang their hat on.
The second thing is, and this one just hit me. Never talked about this on the show. Do you think Brady Christensen is a Fitterer pick?
I have no idea.
And not a Rhule
but
pick? Like if you go back to the type of player, don't the Seahawks have like a formula for how they draft their offensive line? Their offensive line always sucks too, so I wouldn't follow their formula.
But
I wonder if Brady Christensen isn't one of Rhule's guys.
Well, but I don't know, man, because when we had Joe Person on here for the beat chat, Tony, he was, telling us, Fitterer comes from Seattle, and up in Seattle, they have very stringent rules about measurements on arms
For corners.
For corners, but I would imagine that applies to every position where arm length is something that really matters, tackle being one of them. We have Matt Rhule and Scott Fitterer on record saying that they view Brady Christensen as a second-round guard and a third-round tackle. How are you going to rate a man as a second-round NFL draft prospect if you've never seen him play guard? He never played guard at BYU, and
what
yet you
would
think he's a better guard than a tackle? It makes zero sense.
More importantly, if you're grading him at that, why aren't you playing him? Like, it's not that you haven't seen him, but if that's your grade for him, then why is he not on the field?
And what
Look at
would
Miller.
be Cam
Look at
Irving's
John
grade
Miller.
right now? What would Cam Irving's grade? That's my thing. Is I don't care if they're
Undrafted.
Yeah, the thing is that you've got guys who have struggled with injury all season, and you have then just put them back at every possible turn too quickly in some ways. Is that Cam Irving goes out, and you know what? It's John Miller, man. Good God. Our guards have stunk. And you know what? Brady Christensen played this past week. I think he started at right guard or left, one of the guard positions. I don't know. But man, I just guess.
Wait, which one?
Didn't Brady Christensen play a good bit in this last game? Didn't he start?
No, he did not. That's what I'm trying to say. He only played sparingly.
handbook.
And by the way, you're talking about John Miller, how bad Miller and Scott are. But then if you viewed Brady Christensen as a second-round guard, if you drafted a guard in the second round, well, then you would expect them to be playing with our guard play looking so terrible, right? So why not put Brady Christensen at guard? He hasn't played terrible there. Dude, the man cannot evaluate talent. And that's why I push back on people like Geppetto. Like, no, if you can't evaluate talent, you don't deserve to be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Because missing on high prospect talents has been one of the banes of the Panthers' existence the past 10 years.
You know what? He didn't play a single snap.
I'm telling you, man, that is pure incompetency.
They played Irvin Miller, Jordan Eflin. Irvin Miller, Jordan. I don't think he played a single snap.
I dare anyone to give us a good reason why Brady Christensen couldn't have been playing over John Miller or Trent Scott. Please, someone.
And you know what? It's to me at this point, I think it's clear it's time. You start to look towards next year. We heard Matt Rhule. We heard Ron Rivera talk about the 10,000 snaps or 20. He had this number like 30,000 reps, and you're a pro. Like you have to do something. My father-in-law has the same rule. It's like once you get 5 years at a job and you get good at it, right? You just need to do something over and over and over. Even if you're very talented, it helps you to get those reps. Why are we not trying to get those reps? Even, you know what? You see him at guard, man. If you see him as a guard next year, well, get him some practice at guard.
Right.
I mean, when's the better time? Tell me when.
I'm sure it's building his confidence sitting on the bench watching.
And then,
but we got to build Sam Darnold's confidence by paying him a 5th-year option.
In his press conference, the one that you played the clip from, he said to Brady Christensen, he's going to be a really good player for a long time. He just needs an offseason. Well, tell us why. You need to tell us what about Brady Christensen and his gameplay is in needing of an offseason. I'm sorry, when your offensive line is this bad, you owe us, you owe Panther fans that explanation to tell us why our young football players can't play football, even when this offensive line is worse than maybe it's ever been, Tony, in this entire history. We deserve better.
Yeah, and what's going to make it worse? I mean, like, how could it get worse? And you've already trotted out 9,000 different combinations. Who gives a shit about 9,001 different combinations? I don't know. It's mind-boggling at this point. 252-228-5098.
What's up, C3? It's me again.
Noah, what's up?
You gotta, as Panther fans, Carolina is going to listen to us as fans. We have to stay on their neck and watch every move that they make. And I mean, it better not be a dumb move for this draft season. I mean, this is crazy. We just look horrible. We're like fools. I thought New York was bad. We're bad. I mean, we gotta stay on their neck and keep fighting. I don't know if I want to watch the end of these games. I mean, these next games that we have, I think we have to get Tom Brady and then like 2 times, something like that. But I don't know what to think. I guess I rest for another day. Keep climbing.
Dude, how heartbreaking is it to hear little Noah go through an existential crisis this early in his life about the Carolina Panthers, man? That is sinful. The Panthers should be ashamed of themselves, dude.
I mean, this is your future PSL owner right here.
Right.
Like,
yeah, man.
I mean,
I tell you, that's the kid you want to damn buy your tickets because he will be there through thick and thin. That mug said, we got to watch every move. I felt like, I'm a historian, so my expertise was in colonial America, like kind of the decade before the revolution. And there's this real paranoid sentiment that's flowing through society where they're like, we have to be on guard, for everything. And that's what I felt like my man was saying. It's like, you know what? Don't let these brilliant call. As usual, always one of the best callers already. And think about it. He could be calling into this thing for years and years to come. But the point is that we can't take it easy on Matt Rhule. We can't take it easy on this team. We have not had back-to-back winning seasons in the history of our football team. We have to be, first of all, let's not act like they know all this. They got the genius code cracked, because they ain't got it cracked, obviously. All right. Second, we need to be on these people and motivating them. And whether that's fire, fury, and condemnation, that's better than us not caring. That is better than us not caring. And then last, Geppetto, Mr. Man of the chat, he's like owning this. He's got stormed into the chat room this week, and then keep coming back, bro. Please come back. We need a multitude of voices in this discussion. Don't want it to be an echo chamber.
Yeah, we silence no opinions. No opinions are silenced.
We do all point to things, and we just want to believe that we're right in things in life. And I would even say I'm like that. The people on this panel are like that, probably. Geppetto is clearly like that, because he said nobody was talking about Ron Rivera not playing the young guys enough.
Yeah, we were, bro. You just weren't around.
That was like the most. Dude. It's like, wow, Christian McCaffrey, you ain't even played him a lot this rookie season. Sorry, that seems strange. We drafted him. Oh my God.
You haven't been around this podcast. Tony and I have been screaming so long.
That was actually the
voice.
That was the one thing that drove me nuts about Ron Rivera's loyalty, is that this seems like a Ron Rivera thing, actually.
Yes, I thought we were done with this.
Yeah, John, like putting these guys out there and just doing this, that is something that Ron Rivera would say or do.
Yes. I thought we were done with all of this when they fired Ron Rivera. And
strangely, he goes to Washington and does the opposite there.
Yeah.
And he fires he got rid of Morgan Moses, and he did all this. Oh my gosh. All right, next call.
Hey, it's my part two, Coach, again.
What's up, Coach?
What I was saying, it was a really good game. I mean, I did not like the penalty call where there was a little scuffle on our sideline, and it was only toward us. I mean, Josh Allen literally pushed off of Matt Rhule. I think that was kind of, not really professional, but fuck it. Matt Rhule needs a little pushing, needs a little kicking in the ass. But so we can take a lot of good things away from this game. I feel like we should continue to take risks throughout this season. I mean, this offensive coordinator, he wants to prove himself, so let him go out there, put plays together, go for it on fourth down, see what he can do, and maybe he can hold that position next year, like pull something a little more than Joe Brady, go out there and, give the ball to the right guys. You have the right personnel out right now. I mean, obviously we don't have CMC, which CMC makes every offensive coordinator look pretty good, right? But, no, I mean, all in all, we did pretty good. Props to Zylstra going out there and squibbing the ball when he was kicking. Did a pretty damn good job. However, we didn't corral a lot of those kick returns. Our special teams did let them get to like the 40, 30 plus, they always had pretty decent field position. But at the end of the day, you're asking a wide receiver to go out there and make something of a kick, which he's not used to, but he did a pretty good damn job. But I mean, all in all, I'm not disappointed. I mean, obviously we could have did a little more correctly. We still don't have the right personnel on the line, but I mean, we can only make of what we have. But yeah, I think going into next week, I mean, dude, did you guys see the Buccaneers game? They lost Godwin, Evans, and Fournette. Dude, we got to get to Brady. Get to Brady. Let that man be like a songwriter. That man needs to get to Brady. Brian Burns needs to get to Brady. Like, yeah, they have a good offensive line, but they show that they had holes last night. I mean, Cameron Jordan, that dude tore up. Tore him up. But, but yeah, I feel like we did a pretty good, decent job. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding, man. I mean, that's a fantastic point. And I think that's even a good question for all of us. Like, do any of us have any indication that the Panthers even stand a chance against a decimated Tampa Bay team? Like, does anyone, like, I mean, there's no wrong answer here. Does anyone on this podcast or in the chat room feel like the Panthers have a chance against this decimated Tampa Bay football team?
Kind of.
Why?
Just because I saw a very vulnerable team last week. I saw a team that, keep in mind, I know they were playing against the Saints team, but they were also playing against the Saints team without their head coach, without really any offense to speak of, and they shut them out, shut down. Like, they didn't score a single point. You know how hard that is to do in this era, to stop a team from scoring a single time?
Even just a field goal. Yeah, you're right.
Like, that is difficult. That told me that this team is beatable. Now, are we likely to win? No. But I will say that it's not going to be a surprise to me if we come out and we do something similar to what the Saints did.
Well, I also, I'm a believer that teams like the Saints and the Bucks and everybody, they plan better than Carolina does. I mean, you can't tell me a few years ago, whenever New Orleans let us win that game when they had the division locked up, they didn't do it to screw up our draft position. And that could be a thing they're looking at right now. Look, week 7 of my fantasy this year, I had like 9 guys on bye. When I drafted, I knew I was going to take week 7 as a loss. With them having all these players out right now, knowing they're in a strong position to make the playoffs, why wouldn't they just take a loss to mess up our draft position, and they know they're going to get their players back and continue to dominate? Or not dominate.
I mean, they're still fighting for the number 1 seed, and let's be real about it. I mean,
right,
I don't think,
but you don't have to have the number 1 seed to win the Super Bowl.
I jokingly said that I could see the Bucks sitting their starters because they're not afraid of what the Carolina Panthers, even if they haven't secured the number 1 seed. Do I think that's likely? No, but I do see. I mean, it's not. It's a scenario that I jokingly said I still see a very vulnerable team that I think has the potential to just shit the bed, even with all of their starters in there, right? So I don't see them intentionally losing. Just because they are still in the hunt for that number 1 seed. They're 1 game behind Green Bay, and let's be honest, I think the Bucks have a schedule that looks pretty easy, for the most part. So
probably because we're on it.
The question is, do the Carolina Panthers have a chance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week? And the only real reason to say yes is the saying any given Sunday. Tom Brady has been shut out 3 times in his entire career. That was just the 3rd shutout. He is 0-4 against the Saints since he has joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is sort of an anomaly. And while the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have not been the juggernaut that many predicted them to be, to, I guess, destined to just walk into the Super Bowl, they still have 10 wins. And they get Antonio Brown's coming back. I think this team right here, the Carolina Panthers, I would say this is Vegas doesn't think the Carolina Panthers have much of a chance to win, as they are 11-point dogs going into this game. So what you saw is that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have shown some vulnerabilities. They are not just their armor has some weaknesses in it, but the Carolina Panthers don't have any armor, don't have any muscles, and really haven't. I mean, it's like I would hope that the Carolina Panthers could play well, but it would just probably take Cam Newton being miraculous in a defense that just destroyed Tom Brady's life and hopes and dreams all at that moment, and that just is a hard. I wouldn't bet on it.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I've said earlier this year, and you disagreed with me, Tony. I was like, I don't trust us to beat the Jaguars. I don't trust us to beat the Lions. Like, all the teams that the Panthers are supposed to beat and have a chance against, we end up losing. And even the games that we do win, they're flukes, man. It's like we beat the Cardinals without a bunch of their best players, no Kyler Murray. That was our shining gem of a win this season. So
Yeah.
you know,
And the other ones have been
Saints
so
early,
far, just
a
like
million years ago.
does feel like that. And not to say that I won't be watching the game, cheering for it, and every time. I think did we score? Was it against the Bills we scored first?
Tampa? I don't think
Or what was the game that turned out where Cam threw the pick six? Who was that? That was 2 weeks
that was
ago.
Atlanta.
That was Atlanta. Yeah.
Atlanta. I was sitting there going, "Oh yeah, we're up, 7-0." So all we got to do is get up 3 points, and the Panthers could win this, and I'll be counting how many possessions are left in the game, and can we get to Tom Brady? But realistically, the only reason we believe they can win this is because they will play a game, and the outcome is undetermined. And second, because we want to believe in our dreams, and we want to believe in good and not the evil that Tom Brady kind of represents. Next call.
It's Coach Jan. I just want to say one more thing. Did you guys see the shape that Cam was in after the game? His hand was busted all to hell. He was bleeding, like there was blood going all the way down his arm. Like, at the end of the day, we need to protect that dude. I mean, like, we need to protect any quarterback we have. Like, we only have 3 more games in the season. Anything can happen. You know what I mean? Like, maybe some double tight, maybe like double tailback, something. Like, we need to actually protect him so he can actually be available next year, because if he keeps taking those kind of beatings, anything can happen. Like, this man can be put out for who knows how long if he keeps taking the beating he is. I think we got to, protect the value that we have on this team by going and getting a fucking tackle first round.
Man, we're gonna have to do a lot more than just a draft pick at this point. This is gonna be emergency triage through free agency, and some long-term physical rehab through the draft. 252. Yep. Go ahead.
2 things before we go forward. 1, Geppetto's coming with them hitters tonight. He also brings this up, which is a fantastic point. This could be Cam's last home game in Carolina. Oh, it was against Tampa last time too. What we thought was his last game, but it was also against Tampa Bay. Man, that's crazy. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully he has a good game, man. I mean, it could be his last game. I'm hoping that it isn't. Yeah. But before we go forward, dude, we've been through this long in the show, and I apologize to you all, especially since the man with the golden pipes is here. We know that you come here because you're a bunch of freaks with a fetish for being shamed, and dude, we're just your dom daddies, man. So we'll go ahead and give you what you need.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now we have a beautiful. Oh, somebody just liked it. We were at 69 likes, and I was about to make a damn joke. Anyway, if you have not hit that like button, I have one thing to say to you freaks. Subscriber shame.
Subscriber shame. 100 people watching, 73 thumbs up. Please hit the like button. Man, when the Panthers are embarrassing, looking terrible, making you feel bad about your fandom, you know that this is your safe place. You can come here to the C3 Panthers podcast, hang out with your boys, talk about this sorry-ass football team, and have a good-ass time the whole way, man. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, share the podcast with another Panther friend you might know who needs some Panther therapy in their life. Please and thank you. Tony Dunn, let's hit another cat call.
Just think about this as the Panthers, as Cam Newton, like Geppetto said, could be in his final game in Bank of America, right? We thought it was ended bad before with Cam Newton handing it off to Christian McCaffrey, them losing on the goal line or whatever, and then Cam being hurt, never playing again, and that was the last we saw. That felt bad. You know what would feel really bad, though, is if Cam Newton's last game of Bank of America is him getting benched for Sam Darnold.
Don't
Jesus
even say it,
Christ. Oh
man.
my gosh.
Don't
All
crush
right.
me like that. dude.
Next call.
Hey, fellas. Patrick Smith, aka Baby Rhino from
What's up?
Jamestown, North Carolina. Second
What
time
up?
I've called you guys. Listening to the post-game show here on Tuesday afternoon. Obviously, we've gone through another loss. I hear y'all's frustration. I hear all of Panthers Nation's frustration. But as a original fan, this is sort of a wave that's been following us since the beginning of the franchise. It's frustrating. I hear you guys on Cam Newton. I hate that he's in this situation right now. But other podcasts are saying that we're going to probably end up starting Sam Darnold against Tampa Bay if he's healthy. Talk about one way Matt Rhule will be ousted. Now he's going to have all the fans hating him. Anyway, I'm with you guys. I'm going to try to call in a little bit more.
Appreciate
Y'all
you,
take
brother.
care and keep down.
Man, was it James? I think you said James.
I was going to
Maybe
ask
Rhino.
you the same. Yeah, I was going to ask you the same. I didn't catch his name. But thanks so much, man. We'd love to hear new callers call in, especially long-time callers. Yeah, man, don't be scared. We don't bite, man. Come and talk to us. Be a part of the show. We definitely appreciate people's opinions, no matter what they are, man. This is for the fans, by the fans. If you have a Panthers opinion, it's valid over here.
Yeah. Listen, how funny is it going to be if they start Sam Darnold on Sunday on the last home game of the entire year?
Can't do it. You can't do it.
And possibly Cam Newton's last home game as a Carolina Panther. That stadium is going to be louder than it ever has been, booing that decision in Matt Rhule as a whole. Every time that offense goes out without Cam Newton out there, it is going to be loud boos. It's going to be probably louder than it's been all year. And that's even including the cheers and the highs and the lows, right?
Sad.
First is that if Sam Darnold starts over Cam Newton this week, I don't know if Bank of America will be standing after that game, and maybe people wouldn't go. I don't know. I would be concerned about Matt Rhule's personal safety. They would need extra security. I think if you bench him and then you put in Sam Darnold, imagine that moment. You got to do this on the road. Somebody, I think Paul said this, is like you do this on the road, those final 2 games or whatever. But gosh, maybe if Matt Rhule doesn't want to be the coach of the Carolina Panthers, that's what you'll see. There's no way he is the coach of the Panthers next year if this happens.
Yeah,
no way in hell.
Blowing it up.
So there was
I'm just saying I quit. I'll just quit. That's him quitting.
So I wanted to try and find a comment that was just talking about that like there's no way. At that point, you're messing with the church monument. Here it is. Felix Graham. He says, I bet that's Matt Rhule's plan. Bench Cam for Sam and start Cam. Get rid of Cam for next season. But that will empty the stadium. And Matt's downfall will be for messing with the church's money. That's a damn good comment right there. Because, like, that's a perfect timeline of events, man. Like, David Tepper, and we talked about this last Sunday when after Noah called in, we are at a danger of an entire generation of apathetic Panther fans because we just don't care because we continue to beat our own selves. And that is a surefire way to make sure that Panther fans don't want to come to football games anymore just to watch Sam throw these boneheaded interceptions.
I can't deal with these type of comments anymore. Geppetto, love the contribution to the show so far. But here's the thing is, like he said, let's say we went out, do opinions change. If my aunt had nuts, she'd be my uncle. The thing is that that conversation is past. That ship sailed like 3 weeks ago. If we would have won out 3 weeks ago, then I might have been talking to you at this. Is that first? It's like, how about we get a win before we start? I don't even own a gun, let alone enough guns to necessitate an entire rack. I don't even have. We haven't even gotten a win, let alone a series of wins to constitute a winning streak and us believing in the future of Matt Rhule. I'm sorry. Is that let's just win one damn play, one quarter, one game before I talk about reeling 3 off, 2 against Tampa in the biggest collapse of Tom Brady's. So we got to ruin Tom Brady's finale to his career for Matt Rhule. Yes, my opinions will change if we ruin Tampa Bay's hopes and dreams and Tom Brady retires in shame.
But they're still a playoff team.
Greg's the only one that got the joke, by the way.
Yeah. Can I ask a question, though? So right now, let's talk about the future of the Panthers, right? Let's say we lose out. Sam Darnold is clearly going to be on this team next year. Like, there is no, I mean, he's $18 million. I mean, we could sit here and say that we would release him, but the reality is we didn't release Teddy Bridgewater because we traded him and got something out of it, at least, right? We're not going to release Sam Darnold with no compensation and then have to pay $18 million to him, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to at least have him on the roster. And honestly, my question is, do you see a future? Let's say we get this offensive line. What is our biggest need after that? Because I'm sorry to say, guys, I love Cam Newton. He is not the future. He is not. It is clear to me that he is on the back end of his career.
I think I'm worried.
I love Cam Newton. We all know this, and I will defend him in a lot of ways, but I'm not going to defend him in the way that is saying that he is the future. It's just not. It's not the case.
And that shoulder kind of looks cooked.
I don't agree.
It looks, Cody. How can you say that? You've seen it
because it's not like the ball. It's not like the ball is failing to get to the receivers.
Yes, it is.
It isn't. It's not
violence he has to throw it with, dude.
Okay, he's having to throw the football off of the back foot, not being able to step into the pass. That's when he underthrows people. It's not like a consistent thing. I don't think the arm talent is
the motion,
the real
man.
problem.
It's not.
I don't think it's cooked. I just don't think it's what it was.
Yeah, just saying cooked is like his arm isn't capable of making those. Look, if you want to say
it looks like he's trying to throw it as hard as he can, and it goes every time.
I'm not trying to say he's the long-term answer either, but like I just don't think that his arm is the issue that we're seeing.
And let's be fair, with the exception of the fact that he could throw it very deep and he was good at throwing a really deep ball, Cam Newton's arm has never been his forte. It's never been what people have been drawn to Cam Newton about. He's had a powerful arm, but a lot of people have criticized him for how hard he throws the ball. So
not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore.
He's probably never had touch. He didn't have, there's some small things. There was some, and this ain't what I'm just saying is, Cody, is I don't even know if it's about it being underthrown, because like you could go to the DJ Moore one and you say, well, look, his dude's in his face, he can't step into it. I get that. I'm just saying, when you look at how he throws the ball right now, and I've watched every throw that Cam Newton has ever made on the professional football field. I haven't missed a game in some capacity. It just looks like he is
struggling.
He has to just muscle every bit to get it there. And he may have always had a little bit of that look to him. You know what I'm saying? He's always thrown a fastball. Like, it's like it's like, gosh, man, like, why does it look so like you're trying to throw the ball through a piece of plywood right now? When you don't have to. But now it looks like he has to try to be like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It just doesn't. It looks
like, even with this deep ball, I mean, like, we can talk about this. Like, DJ Moore was wide open. He threw 15 yards short of where DJ Moore would have been. Like, even with that interception, he threw it 20 yards short. Like, he's not getting the ball. Like, I know, Cody, we love
pressure right in his face.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that was pressure.
It doesn't even
still.
matter. Like,
But it does matter.
It does. It does, because when he does have time, he can't get the ball out in stride.
You have
with
not
these-
seen it.
We have,
But when have
we
we
have
seen
the
Cam have
same
time this year?
issue that we had with Teddy Bridgewater, except for he's able to be mobile.
Does his arm look
When
strong?
did we ever
Does
see
his
Cam
arm
Newton
look strong?
have
Bold
enough time
statement.
to get the ball off this year?
It's
Does
not
it look
Has
every
never had a
strong,
clean
Cody?
pocket this year.
Does it look
Cody.
strong, Cody?
Even when he can throw and he actually has the actual throwing motion that you want from a quarterback, regardless of what the pressure looks like, if he has a clean pocket at that moment in time where he releases the ball, he is short. It's clear that he doesn't have the same velocity. Like, I'm just saying, Cody, I mean, in 2 years, I don't see Cam Newton being a quarterback that gets us to the Super Bowl. And I hate to say that. I really do.
His style of play is going to have to change.
Again, the style of play thing. We're putting Cam behind the worst fucking offensive line the Panthers have ever
guess what?
had.
We also did the same thing with Sam Darnold.
All right, but Cam Newton's a better player than Sam Darnold.
Amen.
Every single day of the week is a better player than Sam Darnold.
Agree.
And
I
I maintain that Cam Newton has not had a clean pocket to throw from.
Neither did Sam
this
Darnold.
entire year.
If you're gonna use that as an excuse, you got to use it for Sam Darnold too.
But Cam was more
Cam still plays
productive
better
than
than
Sam
Sam.
was.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
He's had more passing touchdowns. I feel like he scored more touchdowns. He's been accountable for like 98% of our offense.
He's played 4 games and he's had how many touchdowns and how? Remember what Sam Darnold did in his first 3? He was the leading rusher in the NFL.
Right, and Cam has one less than him right now, and less starts, has more overall touchdowns, and way less interceptions than Sam Darnold did. And Sam Darnold had more starts. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
I just want to put an addendum on what I mean by his style has to change, Cody. It almost is like this: is that people thought him running less was going to be imperative to his long-term success in the NFL, and I don't know if that's the case. To be honest, he's still like the most deadly option quarterback in the history of football. Like, I mean, he's just good at running it. What I mean by his style of play is that Cam has been so physically gifted his entire life that he's had the luxury of throwing passes into some windows and some things and some moments that he probably shouldn't have thrown, but he was able to get away with it. You know, kind of those outs to the across the hash or something you throw it to where it's just a pick six waiting to happen. Is that his game, his style is going to have to change into an anticipation game. And that is not Cam's strength as a passer. He's always, instead of throwing guys open, he likes to see them get open. He likes to, and then will missile that sucker and he'll be there in 2 seconds. So his game his passing game is going to have to evolve to have more touch, more some things like that, more kind of anticipation.
Like it was in 2018 when he was doing that in Norv Turner's offense and was doing it very well when the team actually looked good. I've seen Cam Newton do that.
Right.
Well, he's also had a major injury since then too.
Two of them. 2 major injuries.
Two major injuries. So it's not that he can't. It's just this. He can't play the same with his shoulder that can't throw the ball like a heat-seeking missile. Right. He's got to play. Right. He's going to have to adapt himself into the next phase of his career. And right now, arguably, he hasn't done enough of it. And I know it's hard to say with this offensive line, but, man, you look at him throwing the ball, and it looks like – just look at it, man. That ain't like it ain't like. I mean, you're like, damn. And Cam ain't 40, man. That shoulder, is it's a violent.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree here, man. I do not see the arm talent deficiency. Like, if you want to talk Cam Newton's deficiencies, that's more than fine. I'm not saying that he's the long-term answer. I understand that ship has sailed. What I'm saying is that we're judging Cam on this unfair curve. He hasn't been playing great, but Cam Newton once again has had no offseason, has not had a chance to get in time and rhythm with the wide receivers before the offensive coordinator was fired. Then you're dealing with a terrible offensive line where the coaches won't even play our young guys. Like, we have seen Cam Newton do all the things that we want him to do, and we're saying, oh, well, he can't do it because what? Because every single play he's having to throw the football, but someone right in his face getting ready to annihilate him.
But
like,
I'm just saying the shoulder looks problematic, dude.
That's what I'm saying too. I'm not saying that he's not given a short end of the stick with what he's dealing with right now. That's never been a part of the conversation. That's what I said. I'm tired of talking about quarterbacks because every one of them we can put an asterisk on their performance because they're dealing with playing behind a horrible offensive line. You can say the same thing for Sam Darnold. You can say the same thing for PJ Walker. You can say the same thing for Teddy Bridgewater even. Like, you can say those things because we've been in the same situation for 3, 4, 5 years, right? What I'm saying is when Cam Newton throws the ball and it's more than 10 yards down the field, it doesn't look like an NFL quarterback's passes. And here's the thing. It looks like Drew Brees. It looks like Drew Brees last year. That's what I'm saying. And do you think that is the way that you talked about 2017? We did a good job. We got to the playoffs. We weren't world beaters. Like, we weren't blowing people out, but we were winning games, especially close ones. Do you see that being the future success? Like, is that what you see as being the reason that we get to the Super Bowl? Is a team that plays the short pass? Because that's what we were pissed off about with Teddy Bridgewater.
But that's what everybody was saying Teddy Bridgewater was supposed to be able to do. I mean, that's what Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers did. I mean, listen, I'm not saying that. I think that if Cam Newton had a better offensive line, the plays downfield would be there. That they would. I'm sorry, they would. And until
Let's go to the next call.
Massively underthrowing, I'm just not with it, man. I don't care if I'm the only one saying it, if I'm the only one that thinks this. Until I see Cam Newton's arm be the clear and decided reason why the Panthers are losing, then I'm not going to say his arm is shot. I don't think it's shot.
Next call.
Baby Rhino again. Tony, I'm 100% with you, man. There has not been one single drop of progress all year. It wasn't about the wins for me either. Just hope. Now, I'm going to tell you this. You take somebody's hope away and it's over. And this team has taken hope away from its fans. Whatever that means, end result, I guess we're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. All right, let's see. I think this might be Joey next, maybe.
Hey guys, it's Joey. You were talking about Matt Rhule and the bullshit that he was spewing after the game that they had 24 blocked or whatever and stuff like that. Well, and you said he had to address it and then he was like upset. Do you think he's upset because of the losing? Do you think the losing's actually getting to him? Or do you think he's just upset because everyone is finding out who he really is? Everyone is starting to believe him for who he's showing us that he is, not who he's saying that he is, as Cody would say. Because, I mean, I really don't know if Matt Rhule's trying. I don't know. I don't know if Matt Rhule is aware that he's marking time and no one likes his ass. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was aware of that. I mean, they don't follow fan entrances. They don't go out the same entrances. So it's not like you'd be able to read the expression on the fan's face. And if I were Matt Rhule and I am coaching that way, I would not go out the entrance with the fans. I'm just saying. Wow, wow, wow.
Wait, I'll let you go first, CK, and then you, Greg.
You go ahead.
Hey, Greg, you there? You're muted.
Sorry, I apologize. I was trying to look up a video. I didn't get the full question.
No, but dude, my audio I don't know why, but on some of the calls, the last few seconds that cuts off in my audio. I don't know why. I'm going to get Tony to play it one more time.
While we wait,
But,
could you
yeah.
share that video?
Which one?
What?
The one that I just did in the private chat?
Tony, will you play that call again?
Call Joey's call again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get his question.
Sorry, I was looking up
Hey
a video.
guys, it's Joey. You were talking about Matt Rhule and the bullshit that he was spewing after the game that they had 24 blocked or whatever and stuff like that. Well, and you said he had to address it and then he was like upset. Do you think he's upset because of the losing? Do you think the losing's actually getting to him? Or do you think he's just upset because everyone is finding out who he really is? Everyone is starting to believe him for who he's showing us that he is, not who he's saying that he is, as Cody would say. Because I really don't know if Matt Rhule's trying. I don't know. I don't know if Matt Rhule is aware that he's marking time and no one likes his ass. I'm pretty sure he was aware of that.
All right. That's the gist of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I have some thoughts on this.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I think one is that we try to read these kind of nonverbal cues sometimes and things like in press conferences, attitude, confidence, are they speaking upbeat? These we're trying to read into every moment. And in one hand, you can look at some things and you could say, gosh, this guy looks like a wreck. You know what I'm saying? Like these weird pictures they put, like these moments before the Zoom starts. But then I try to think, oh, we all look weird when we can't hear the Zoom and we're waiting and we don't have nothing to do, and then I go, man, this guy looks like a mess. Like he is stressed out. He is flailing around trying to make all these decisions. And then on the other hand, there's times where it's like, he's like, hey, I guess we could have had a different play, blah, blah. And then he just like tries to goof off with one of the dudes about it later on. And it doesn't seem that bad. And some of the content creators, David Rose says, you look at this, it looks like a man who's confident he's going to have his job. I don't feel that way. I feel like he's been flailing around, and I think he's kind of resided to now I'm just probably going to get fired.
Yeah. I think that, touching on what Joey was saying, if Matt Rhule's upset about anything based on where he's at right now, it's got to be the fact that he sees that or he can tell that everybody can see through him. Because if it's about the losses, you said you had a 3-year plan, you're rebuilding, so you should expect to not be a really winning team.
Right.
I think he sees that his future is skating on thin ice and he's not been very successful, and maybe he just can't handle it. And I get that. Not everybody can be a professional coach. It's a different game than college. I'm not saying he's a bad college coach. It's just not his thing, I think. And I think he's realizing that. That's what he's more upset about than.
Look at Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer was one of the best college coaches that there is. One at Florida, Ohio State, and then he just fucking flamed out as hard as he could in the NFL.
Gilberto said that there is no one here who knows who Matt Rhule really is. I just don't believe in judging the character of a man you've never met. One, we're not making character statements about we have probably about honesty and dishonesty and deception. But I don't really. I think it's all part of coaching. Like you don't tell people, you got to say, hey, I like this dude and I don't like this guy. But there is a joke that the Matt Rhule death curse is to tell you that you had a great you were good. I love this guy, and then you're getting cut the next day. We have joked that, like, I look forward to working with Cam, cut. I look forward to this, cut. Look forward to this. We had a great practice, and then we lose by a bazillion. But this isn't a personal character honesty thing. What we can say is we've met these people and followed them as closely as just about anybody has. Really, the only thing is we have not been able to ask the questions directly, but we're not that far removed as people would think We've seen the same press conferences. We've seen the same performances. Yes, dude, the people inside the building have a better understanding. But right now, I think the scary part about Matt Rhule is that I think he's questioning himself about him knowing what to do. That's the only thing. Is like, I mean, it's one thing for me to just be reactionary because we're not winning. I feel like he is wherever the wind blows. Even, I mean, like wherever the wind blows, I don't think he has confidence in his own plan because I don't think there is a plan anymore. I think it failed, and I think he feels over his head.
Yeah, I agree. Can we do a quick thing? Because Cody said the burden of proof is on us to prove that Cam Newton can't make throws.
Okay. All right. So it has the Fox logo on it. So Tony has to approve it first. Because if we put anything that has the Fox logo, like we're gonna. It's the last play of the game. It's the one that Cam Newton. Here, I'll play it. Let me make sure it's on the right thing.
With no pressure, by the way.
But then I'm gonna I have a clip ready to show right after this.
Perfect.
Too. So we'll do a quick little.
Carl, welcome to the show. You can't believe it. We've been talking junk about Cam Newton, CK, and myself. Can you believe it? Carl Vance can be like, what? He's gonna have a heart attack.
So I maintain that Cam wanted to go home. And he just throws it right to the underneath defender.
I mean,
so did you think that?
Okay, I think everybody wanted to go home. I think Rhule wanted to go home.
So did you think that Cam just didn't have the arm to get it over there?
This is the last play of the game after throwing 38. This is his 38th pass of the day, and so his arm. The proper play here is to throw it over top of the defender. He didn't have the arm to do it. I'll take it even further back. If I could
look at his body, just watch his body. Watch his body. Don't watch the pass. Watch his body.
Well, he was also late on.
Let's just see.
He was late on the timing as well.
But even beyond that, the other deep ball to DJ Moore that should have been thrown about 15 yards farther down the field, that, in my opinion, should have been a pass interference against DJ Moore because he was stopping and then the defender ran right through him. But those are, I mean, just listen, it's clear to me that, like I said, just on those throws alone, Cam Newton doesn't have the same, the same ability to get the ball where it
I don't even care what happens with the ball, dude. Look at his body. His body, it looks like he is trying to generate like this power coming from wherever,
but in the same game, on time, on rhythm, enough to get the ball up and over the defender.
That's an 8-yard pass.
That's not a shot.
It's an 8-yard pass.
That's a touch pass. That's not an easy pass to throw.
Two completely different scenarios. This one is in the first half of the game before his arm is worn down, right?
Yeah,
which I do think that has something to it. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the shoulder, dude. No, that's the whole point of being the shoulder being cooked.
No, if the shoulder's cooked, it's cooked in the first quarter, the second, third, and fourth.
Yeah. No,
if the shoulder's cooked,
it's not.
It's cooked
not
all
true
the way
at all.
through.
Drew Brees,
yes, it is.
Drew Brees, every year for the past 3 years has been explosive, throwing the ball down the field for the first quarter of the season. And then he just goes to a very, slant, short, screen, things like that. It was nothing major after that. It's clear that there is a wear down to the shoulder when you start to get to a certain point in your career. Cam Newton, I'm sorry. It's like, listen, I can't say this enough because I think it's important. This is not me talking shit about Cam Newton. I love Cam Newton as a Carolina Panther. I think that he is going to be one of the all-time greats, and it's going to be hard to dismantle him from being the best quarterback to ever play for the Carolina Panthers. He isn't a quarterback of the future. He isn't a guy who's going to get you to the Super Bowl, and that's the problem. Like, you can compare him to Tom Brady. You can do that, but I hate to say it, guys. Tom Brady is smarter and can read defenses better than Cam Newton.
Bro, this conversation has gotten dumb. Now we're just like, basically you're saying that Cam, not only is the arm cooked, that was the only thing good about him. Cam Newton's never been able to read an NFL defense.
That's not what I said.
Cam Newton has
Did I
never
say
been
that,
able
Cody?
to throw a wide receiver open.
Cody,
None
what
of
you're
that's
trying to do is
true,
you're
man.
twisting words. You're
No, I'm
twisting
not.
words.
I'm
I never
saying
said that. I never said that Cam Newton couldn't read defenses. I'm saying,
Tom Brady is better than everyone at
but what I'm
reading
saying,
defenses.
if we're
Of
wanting to
course he's
compare,
better.
if we're
What does
somebody
that
in the
even
chat
mean?
wanted to compare Tom Brady's throw to Cam Newton's throw, and that's what I'm trying to explain. We can start to compare Tom Brady and Cam Newton. Cam Newton has a piece of
What does that
athleticism
do?
that Tom Brady does nothing. Because right now, the best comparison for arm talent is in my opinion, Drew Brees and Drew at the last year for Cam Newton. I don't see Cam Newton making better throws. Honestly, I've seen better throws from Teddy Bridgewater down the field.
So do you think that Sam Darnold is a better option going forward than Cam Newton?
I don't
Because
think
I said
either
we
of
haven't
them.
seen enough evidence of this offensive line,
My
giving either of them enough time to throw the football.
My
But I
original
still go with
question,
Cam.
my original question was Cam Newton isn't the future, right? We all can we know that beyond this year, there is no Cam Newton isn't taking us to the promised land.
Is he
right?
a bridge?
I think that's the best way you can say it. He's the bridge this year. Now, here's my question. We can all assume that we're going offensive line, O-line in the draft, and we're going to be heavy O-line in the free agency and everything. So my question is, we're not going to be going after a quarterback in the draft. And is there a real reason to pursue another quarterback in free agency? Or do we go ahead and move forward with Sam Darnold since he's guaranteed $18 million and hope either one, he is a good quarterback, or two, that we're going to tank with him and we can get the quarterback of the future after that?
Simple question. Does Cam Newton have enough of an arm right now to be a bridge at least for a year or two?
No.
Because you're saying this arm is shot.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. We have not seen enough evidence of Cam Newton with an offseason behind a better offensive line, on time and on rhythm with the receivers, to actually form a legitimate opinion on whether or not he can be a quarterback.
But he's a veteran quarterback.
This is a tough argument to take a side on because y'all are both making really, really good arguments about this. But the only thing I can say is, Cody, you're absolutely right. It just seems like there's a lot more going against Cam than going for Cam.
Yes.
And while I love Cam Newton, I'm actually sitting here looking through all my Cam Newton rookie cards, my autographs, all this stuff. We've always said, if Cam had this, if Cam had this, if Cam had this, it's always been that. It really has. And now he's not the young Cam he was before that can carry it without Cam having this. That's the only kind of place I could look at in this argument, We've
He's
always
definitely
said
not the quarterback that he once was. I'm not trying to say that he is. The main argument that I am trying to make is that I have not seen enough sustained evidence that Cam Newton's arm is so shot that going into next year, if we try to rebuild this offense and continue to put pieces on this offense, that Cam Newton is incapable of getting the job done. I have not seen enough evidence of that. And on top of that, I still have more faith in Cam Newton doing it than Sam Darnold or Matt Barkley.
That's my question, though, right? We know that he's not the future, right? But we also can all probably agree that he's better than Sam Darnold. So my question is, if he's not the future, don't we want to find the future? And so how do you find the future? Do you win out and find the future? Sure as hell don't. If we approach this and we gave Cam Newton all the correct things we needed, well, guess what? Cam Newton might be all right next year, but he's not going to be the answer the year after that. We're not going to get to the Super Bowl, even if we give him the best offensive line. We can do that. And then, Cam Newton retire, he gets his swan song, all that stuff. That's fine. But the problem is we're going to win more games with Cam Newton than with Sam Darnold. Can we agree with that?
Yeah, that's my whole point.
Okay. So that's a problem. If Cam Newton isn't the answer, how do we get the quarterback that is the answer if we win more games?
But how is it different with Sam Darnold?
How is it different?
How is finding the quarterback of the future different with Sam Darnold than it is with Cam Newton? We're gonna pay Sam Darnold $18 million next year, regardless of if he is or isn't the starter.
So why pay another quarterback? Why put that money in somebody else when we could actually put it towards something that's going to benefit the team long term?
Well, because you're
right.
still they're going to be starting with
I gotta
with
quash
Sam
this
Darnold.
conversation. I do feel like Cam kind of reminds me. I've been Googling it while you guys have been arguing. I cannot find which movie. There's an old baseball movie. I think it may be The Rookie, where the pitcher, I thought it was Tom Berenger. Maybe it's not, but like he just can't do it. You know what I mean? Like he's wearing the ice after every game, and then in that final game, he has to like give it his all. Like it's just
from the All or Nothing.
It kind of, yeah. I mean, it kind of reminds you of that. I don't even know if Cam's hurt. I don't think he's hurt. I just don't think the strength there. And I think part of it is that he has a long windup because he's 6'6", and the way his body is shaped, you know what I'm saying? He just kind of has a pitcher's windup, like a Byron Leftwich for a hot coaching name. And so the windup takes a lot of time. It's always looked like that. And it's just, gosh, it just looks like he is trying really hard to throw that ball. Next call.
Hey, boys, it's Coach again from Wilmington. You guys are going to eventually get sick of me and probably block my number. But, you know, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, all right, this year it is what it is. We did absolute fuck all like we've been doing for the past couple of years, few years, 5 years. But I just want to bring a conversation point, like, what do you guys actually think needs to be done for us to restart this rebuild? Like, is it draft picks? Is it free agency? Is it trades? Is it all of them? What should we do in the draft? Who should we trade? And who should we go for in free agency? What fucking coach should we go and pick up? What new owner should fucking come in and drop millions to fucking own this team? Fucking P. Diddy and Steph Curry should have fucking owned this damn team.
All right. Thanks, Coach. I'm going to cut the call off just a hair short because there will be plenty of times for us to delve into free agency, who we're going to keep, who we're going to court. But we will, no caller goes unheard on the C3 Panthers podcast. So instead of us really going too far into the specific coaches that we want, right? And Cody's going to tell me I'm a dummy for the one I want and this and that. Philosophically, how do you how do you approach this rebuild now? And I'll turn the mic to our GM of the podcast, Cody Lashney. How would you approach it if you're David Tepper at this moment?
So I do know that there are in the top 15, there are at least 2 high-end tackle prospects that I'm aware of. One of them is Charles Cross from Mississippi State. Looks like a fantastic left tackle. And then there's a tackle whose name escapes me right now from
NC State.
Yes, from North Carolina State. Now, especially considering we do not have, we have 1 pick in the top 100. That's it. No second round, no third round. Listen, guys, all season I have been banging the table, saying, give Brady Christensen a chance. Give Brady Christensen a chance. Well, Matt Rhule did him dirty. So I have no evidence right now, other than a few good performances, that Brady Christensen is a real franchise left tackle because Matt Rhule never gave him the opportunity to show that he is. So right now, if we're looking at a franchise left tackle in the draft next year that's available for us when we pick, which I believe right now is either 7 or 6. I think I heard that the Panthers could best end up top 5. But I think 5th is the limit. If I'm rebuilding, I'm taking an offensive lineman, doing what the Panthers have put off doing far too long. And I'm just drafting that big badass left tackle that we're in so desperate need of, no matter who the quarterback ends up being. So, yeah, as of right now, I'm subject to change my mind, and I reserve the right to do so, especially as I continue to evaluate players going forward. But Yeah, man. I'm taking a left tackle if I have the opportunity.
Do you think that with who we know is going to be picking in front of us, there's nobody in front of us that is going to be quarterback hungry except for maybe the Texans? So I think you're going to be a heavy, and in the obviously with the Texans, they're probably gonna, if they're that desperate, they're probably gonna trade, for Tua to come to Houston and Deshaun to go there. But nonetheless, what I'm thinking is going to end up happening is you have the Jaguars, you have the Jets, all of these that are going to be picking ahead of us. I think those are some of their most important pieces right now is offensive linemen and the offensive tackle. Do these guys even make it to where we are, even if we are picking in the top 5?
Yeah, I mean, look, you're talking about the New York Jets with the new quarterback are probably going to go O-line potentially. The Jacksonville Jaguars right now have the number 1 pick. So if that Evan Neal is the guy from NC State, he might end up being the first pick in the draft. There's also 3 really good edge rushers that are in the draft this year. Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon. There's some really good D linemen, frankly, that I would love to have on our team. But, I really don't know what the teams in front of us are going to do because even the Texans, they like what their rookie quarterback, Davis Mills, has done down the stretch. And he's like the 2nd highest rated rookie quarterback in the NFL right now. So there's no guarantee that any quarterbacks are going to be a guaranteed lock for the top 10. So, and I know I'm long-winded, I'll wrap it up. But at the end of this is the Panthers, if we did fall in love with a quarterback this season, there is a very good chance that they would be right there waiting for us when we were on the clock to pick. So it'll be interesting.
Again, I think that we as Panthers Nation are over the idea of finding the quarterback this offseason. It has to be O-line. Like if you draft a quarterback, you risk doing exactly what happened with Sam Darnold, exactly what's happening with Zach Wilson, which is risking the possibility of the inability for them to have confidence in themselves, right? We can say that real legendary quarterbacks never questioned themselves, but I think a lot of them were kind of put into favorable situations to make it easier for them not to question themselves. And so I think that's the biggest question mark here is do we go quarterback, like even like because there's not going to be one of these top tier offensive linemen, or do we trade back and then hopefully stack up some picks because we are going to be dealing with a little bit of a disadvantage with our lack of draft capital this year.
Yeah,
you're not going to be able to build that wall just through the draft. I'll tell you that is you're going to need to get like 4. You need 4 starters, maybe 3 at the minimum. This is going to be emergency triage right here. And that is, it's going to be a lot of aggressiveness in free agency when it comes to the offensive line. If the Panthers do anything like they have been over the last 5 years, very reactionary, too late for the moment type, they'll draft a tackle this year, and it still won't be enough. So you're going to have to allocate both, free agency, that, and I don't know. Maybe you're talking about getting that quarterback in the following year in free agency.
That's what I'm saying, and
maybe
that's
going to make a run.
Yeah, that's my whole argument to start Sam Darnold as well.
I started this to make sure I didn't miss it. Shout out to Carl Van for the $4.99. Appreciate you, brother. No comment, but drop some $5 love on us. We never ask, but it's always appreciated. So
all right, let's go to the next call.
What it do, my boys, and Tony, I apologize. Okay, I apologize. I was down in the dumpy dump that post game show. I wasn't myself, so
it was sad. It was sad.
Myself. My name is Mike.
Yeah.
To the K.A. Supreme Leader.
Oh shit!
Hope you boys are having a fantabulous Tuesday. You know what? I'm not even here to talk Panthers football. Okay. I am here to talk about you guys. All right.
Right.
That Panthers podcast that I became a trucker officially. What was it? Almost 2 years ago now, and almost 2 years ago, I found you guys while searching on Apple Podcasts.
Beautiful.
You know, I was getting into the podcast game, and I was like, I need a good Panthers podcast to listen to. And I found you guys. You know, I saw the C3, Carolina Cat Chronicles. I was like, oh, that's a good play on words. Let's start off with that one. And it's been all up since then. So,
beautiful.
I just want to say, happy holidays to you boys.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you for all the content you put out, all the love you show to us as Panther fans. It can't be put in words, okay? It just can't be put in words. Just know, even for people like G Baby, we got love for you boys, and we just appreciate it, man.
That's love,
yeah,
man.
Hey, I do wanted to ask this just for fun. What's the best Christmas present you've ever received? From your time, fresh out the womb until this point in time. What's your most favorite Christmas present ever?
That's so hard.
No matter what, though, boys, Panther pride till I die. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding, man. Those are the calls that we live for, man.
Absolutely.
Mike, that's my homie right there, man. The supreme leader. Dude, fantastic call, man. Thank you. We do it for fans like you and for calls like that, man. It's we've built one hell of a community here with the professor and CK and the Bat Daddy. We love that you guys love to listen to us talking bullshit and listen to me make excuses for Cam. Damn you, Cody. But no, I certainly appreciate it. And my favorite gift, the one that comes on the top of my head, I remember damn near having a conniption fit when I opened up my first Nintendo 64 under the Christmas tree. Dude, that's a good memory, man. I had the WCW NWO wrestling on that bad boy, too.
That was an awesome game, too.
Bro, I was ready to go, man. That shit was so fun. Yeah, man. I would say that's probably my favorite gift. I date myself, but I'm okay with it.
I'm trying to think. It's very hard throughout as many years as I've been on this earth to think of a favorite gift, but I'm trying to think of like the gift I've been the most excited about opening. I don't know if it's necessarily my favorite just because of time, but I kind of look like you, Cody. I'm going to date myself too. It was a Sega Genesis. I didn't think it was ever going to get better than 32 bits. I was like, it will not get better than this, y'all. This is the best it's ever going to be. That was one of the gifts that I never thought that I was going to get when I was younger, and I got it. Maybe that was why it was the most surprising. But yeah, Sega Genesis, man, still a great system to play.
Yes.
I got a list of them, just real quick. Run off two of them, like you guys said, is video game, and for when you're a kid, like game playing, because then you get to go and wreck that game, like that system, for the next 27 hours straight as you crack out. So for me, it was the Sega Genesis, and then I had a reiteration of that when we had our first. Michael, my son, was a little baby boy, and I had just gotten that new PS3.
Yeah,
I think it was the PS3. Yeah, the 3. And that was pretty dope. And I was 25, you know what I'm saying? I've got to be at home. I got this little newborn coming, and it's just my wife's 9 months pregnant. For Christmas, my dad got me that. And that was with that. And my dad, my dad doesn't have no money, but he got me that because his parents passed away, a little bit of cash, and he got me that. Then it was $600, dude. You remember when that joint first came out, that big spaceship looking one? Two other notable gifts that are just interesting and for fun. My sister is the best gift giver I know. my little sister. Like they're just always remarkably thoughtful. She bought me she got this made like on Etsy or something, but it's a tie clip and it's in my grandfather's handwriting and I'm named after him. And so she found his name on a piece of paper that he had written, signed his name. And so she got that. That was pretty dope. Anthony Joseph, rest in peace. Anthony Joseph Pancini. The other one was we got an IBM Aptiva, I think, one year. And this joint was like in 1990. And this stuff, man, my parents paid like $4,000 for this computer. And it was cool as shit. Came with some speakers and some they couldn't do shit with it, but good God. That's my list.
First let me say with regard to that caller, I think it's easy to forget, how many people listen to us every week, just literally talk about Carolina Panthers, and our passion and love for the game and what, this team represents for us in our lives and how much effort and how much, energy we put into them. That's what these conversations are like, is just guys talking and, seeing chat is obviously great, but you forget about a lot of the people that are out there listening to this after, we get done on podcasts and stuff like that. And so those calls definitely kind of, remind you a little bit of that. So I do appreciate that. I think that, does give us the warm and fuzzies to realize that, hey, listen, it's a big old family out there that, maybe we haven't even really, obviously we know you, Supreme Leader, but there's probably so many people out there who just listen, don't even call in, aren't in the chat, and they just love what we do. And they may not be able to make the phone calls or be here during the live show, but they're still out there showing their support. So I appreciate every one of you guys. But, for me, for my, my gift. So here's the problem. Obviously I didn't grow up, like you, Tony, didn't grow up with a lot of money. I did a lot of like my stuff that I got, like the N64 was a great present that I got myself. I was going out and mowing people's yards and I paid for it that way. Luckily, cause I was definitely not getting it from my parents. I'll tell you that much. But what I will say is like, and it may be an accumulation of these things. Anytime that they would get me a new game, like, I don't know if you guys like it, just that, I don't know, that nostalgic feeling you get to open up a new video game. Like, you talk about knowing you're about to spend so much time doing that. Like or even just the smell, you can almost smell it.
Unhealthy. It's so unhealthy.
Like you can even like when you open it, you can almost like when I recollect, I can almost smell the video game, like the disc. Like I sit here and remember, like think about the GameCube discs. Like just I don't know, there's just something very like ingrained in my mind about those moments. So those are really cool. It's really tough as an adult because like I'm the hardest. There's a couple of pieces, right? I'm the hardest person to buy for because if I like something, I end up going and getting it anyway.
Yeah.
And so my wife is a horrible gift giver because it's my own fault. I don't tell her what I want because I go and get it anyway. So I don't get like literally she'll get me socks or something like that. So there's nothing great there. The one thing that sticks in my mind is maybe one of the greatest, gifts was we had gotten season passes for Carowinds. As a kid for Christmas. And those were those little golden cards and stuff that you can get back then. So I do remember that. And that was a pretty fun year because that kept on, we went pretty much every time that there was a Panthers game up until they, closed it down for the winter. But it was, I guess that's probably the one that sticks in my mind the most.
I vividly remember playing Sonic the Hedgehog all night long. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it being like the fastest game. I was like, I'm gonna get epilepsy before this night's over.
Dr.
Oh
Obama.
yeah, I remember my mom getting mad that we were still up at like 7 a.m. We had been up playing the game all night, dude.
That's awesome.
And
awesome. All right.
The last thing about it is that's what you find when you get older. All the holidays that you loved as a kid, like now when you get older, they almost kind of become chores. And the holidays
we can't stay up all night playing video games.
And the holidays that you didn't really used to look forward to, like when I was a kid, Thanksgiving was kind of whatever to me. But now that everybody's older,
like my favorite.
And people have their own lives, it's the best opportunity to see a bunch of family and friends that you wouldn't otherwise see.
Yeah.
So it's just how you change as an adult, man. Yeah. Great call, Mike. Love you, Mike.
Wonderful.
Happy holidays to you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the support. Be safe on those roads. Appreciate the support. Next call.
Hey guys, it's Joey again, and I
Joey.
saw a comment, not saw, but you know what I mean. But there was a comment that I came across, or there was a few that says, why are we holding Matt Rhule accountable and not the players and all this stuff? And I have some friends at work who say, oh, it's execution. Your head coach is not the problem. Well, what the execution people and the head coach can do no wrong, people, because you had those people with Ron Rivera too, and with him, believe it or not, it made more sense. But what they don't seem to realize is that when you have issues team wide, right? Okay, execution would be like it's just a few players, like say on offense, say Robbie Anderson and what other player? Robbie Anderson and Chuba Hubbard just aren't executing, right? They're not. I mean, and I'm not saying that. I'm not actually saying they're not executing, except for Robbie Anderson, because he's a disappointment for damn sure. But say it was just those two, right? And maybe the QBs. Then you could say it's execution. But when it's everybody on the offense and even the defense too, when it's everybody, who's the leader? Who's the leader? It's the head coach.
That's right.
His
Tell him,
job
Joey.
to fix it, and he's
Tell
not
him.
doing it. Anyway, guys. Wow.
You know, this goes far back to an argument between me and Greg. Like when I was calling for Ron Rivera to be fired, and players were underperforming. I'm like, it's on coaching. It's the coaches. They're not getting our players prepared enough. And I think that's it's echoed in that same argument here. All of the things that happen habitually on your team are on purpose, whether that be good things or bad things. If your defenders are constantly missing caps or being blown off the line or in terrible coverage with dirty eyes and, just blown plays, that's on coaching. When your team can't get out of its own way, that's a bad coached football team, very poorly coached. And I feel like all of the things that have gone wrong for the Panthers 2021 season, you can look at all of them and connect them to coaching in one way or another. So, it's not like we were terribly injury ridden all year. We were hurt to some very important players like Christian McCaffrey and JC Horn.
Yeah, but it hasn't been insane.
Right. That's my point. Yeah. It hadn't been terrible like it has for some other teams. So to me, it's on coaches. I agree with Joey the Blind Panther, man.
All right, next call.
Man, oh man, gentlemen, this is Daniel again.
What's up, Daniel?
Merry Christmas to you, gentlemen.
Merry Christmas.
But man, we suck. Plain out, we suck.
That's true.
Listen, we can try to slander Cam all we want, like a lot of people are doing, but that old line is trash. No matter what quarterback comes in here with this line would be bad.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that Cam is, 2015 Cam, but what's going on with this team is way past Cam.
Agreed. 100.
We want to talk about a Cam that's playing horrendous. Cam Irvin, edge rushers.
Yes.
This guy. We need to fix this offensive line.
It's offensive.
We need a QB. No argument about that, but we need to build up our offensive line and then work on our quarterback. We would need to protect them. Otherwise, we could just ruin their career. You could not get a QB, then try to fix this O-line issue. It would be pointless. Cam isn't the same QB he was, but, he's good enough. I honestly feel he's good enough, and if only the coaching and offensive line was better, we'd be a whole different team. Matt Rhule is always contradicting himself, in my opinion, but, That's just my humble opinion. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is not college. Trying to rebuild Cam Irvin and Pat Elflein. Come on, man. Apparently they can't even evaluate quarterbacks or offensive linemen. We're just screwed. But gentlemen, again, Merry Christmas. Keep up the good job and keep pounding.
Great call. Funny line with the Cam. The Cam Irvin is the one we need to be talking about.
Yeah.
Interesting note here is that the Seattle Seahawks, for the first time since 2011, will finish with a season with a losing record. And our Carolina Panthers haven't been able to put back-to-back winning seasons together. Haven't won since 2017 now, winning record. And Geppetto, who has been a firecracker in the chat room, said, did any of you guys blame the teacher for failing a test if they taught you as much as they could, but you didn't study? Yes, I do it every day because I'm a teacher and I have students who fail all the time in my class, and I teach them everything I think I can teach. And you know what is everybody gets the blame, I guess. It sucks, man. It sucks when your students fail and you teach as hard as you can.
But Tony, here's the difference with that question, and I put it in the chat. Is there a difference when everybody in your class fails? Like you can believe as a teacher you've taught them everything you possibly can, but if everybody is failing, then you failed as a teacher. Like if you're not getting through to anybody, if nobody is doing what they're supposed to be doing, then your failure as a teacher is there. I don't care if there are certain circumstances that may lead to that, but the reality is, if that's what we deal with. We have a failure on every level in this entire team. That is a coaching issue, and that is something that can't just be fixed by saying, you know what, you do better. You know what I mean? like that's what Matt Rhule does. Is like, we'll call out what people do wrong, but we can't really tell them how they're supposed to correct it. Because I don't feel like Matt Rhule at this point is I don't think he's a teacher. I think he is just somebody who is...
Again, I'm so stunned by all this because what we were sold to be the strengths of this organization, what I thought our strengths were just last year, I'm sitting here saying I think this staff are good teachers because they were coaching these young players up.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, we can't say that anymore because the offensive coordinator is gone. Turned out he wasn't a good teacher. He likely was in over his head. Matt Rhule is frailing around. All the things that I was trying to, it's like I get seasick, like I get motion sickness. Like I didn't realize this, but especially if I'm like hungover too, they say that. But it gets you, man. It gets me, man. Like like when I drive in the car, I'm fine, but when I'm riding in the back, it's just a little different. But like you have to, when you're like feeling crappy, you gotta like not think about it, right? Like don't go deeper into the wormhole of feeling crappy, and you have to kind of like fix yourself on things that stabilize you, right? So like when you get seasick, as soon as you see land again, they say you feel better, right? And what I'm saying is those things that oriented us in the early tenure of Matt Rhule towards feeling less seasick, they're not orienting us anymore. We said he was a good teacher. Now he's not a good teacher. We said he was a builder. Now he's not a good builder. We said he was about the process. Now it's about not about the process. We said, it's like all the things and now should we go and talk about what we thought were his weaknesses? Oh, wait, there's still weaknesses too. Inexperience, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? So, makes me sick. Makes me seasick. It's like being in a boat. I feel like I just took 12 tequila shots last night and then went deep sea fishing in Mexico. That happened to me this past year, and it was not fun. Next call.
What up, Panther Nation? It's Cody here again. I joined a little while ago.
What's up, Cody? We remember, bro.
No, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. We gotta get Matt Rhule out of here. And I'm normally not the one to say or jump on early and fire people too early, But and I think in this situation with the talent, here's the thing: the talent we have on the roster, I think you take maybe 30 other NFL coaches, and we have a better record and we perform better than what we're doing right now. With the defense we have, I know McCaffrey's down. It doesn't matter. DJ Moore, easy top receiver in the league. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. I'm over it. We have too much talent on this team for us not to be winning. It doesn't matter if Rhules rebuilt the defense. If you think he's going to rebuild the offense next year, it's not going to matter. It is not going to matter with the talent we have. If we're not winning now, we're not going to win. It doesn't matter. We can get much better up front. Yeah, we can't get much better on the defense. Our receivers, we really can't ask for anything more. Cam, he's obviously not 2015 Cam. If you watch it Panthers game, it's not his fault. It's 100% not his fault. Play calling and offensive line pass protection is why it makes him look bad.
Yes.
And I don't get why people can't see
I'm
it.
surprised he
If you
hasn't
think
looked
it's
worse, to
Cam's
be
fault,
honest,
you're
given how
just-
bad it
you're
is.
Casual.
Yeah.
And I don't like the term casual, but you're casual. It's just how it is. If you think Cam's the problem, you're a casual. If you want the Panthers to draft a quarterback in this draft with their first round pick, you are a casual. I think most smart people that know football, I'm sorry to hate on people, you want to take offensive line. And that's what I.
Oh, is that the end of it?
Look, I think he might have. Hold on, we'll keep going. Might be a second half.
Hey guys, it's Chuck
No.
from Elizabeth City, aka Carolina Sports Guy.
What up, Chuck?
I've kind of been away and haven't made a lot of comments. I feel like my passion for a Panther fan is just taking a beating lately, just beating down.
Same, man.
It's one thing to look at last year. We had so many opportunities to win and so close, and we felt like we were growing. And this year we just look lost and we're taking steps back.
Yep.
The coaching staff. It's hard to even look at any position on offense and say we've gotten better. Any position, except for kicker. And our defense at times has looked dominant and yet can't get off the field on third down. Drop surefire interceptions. And a perfect example of that is when Brian Burns could have picked the fumbled up and scored. Instead of falling on the ball or the ball gets through his hands and Buffalo recovers it. When you're winning and doing well, those are the kind of balls that get picked up and scored, and you're limited 7-0.
Dude, he
But
has.
the only thing I'm gonna say about Cam, Cam's one of those polarizing figures where you either love him or you hate him.
Yep.
And I love Cam. And for the only player in our 27, 28-year history to ever win league MVP, to be shit on not once, but twice.
Yeah.
As much as I can't stand Ron Rivera, Matt Rhule, I was really looking forward to him as being a replacement, but he's burnt my bridge quicker than Ron ever did.
Yes, I'm with you.
I think we're honestly going to have to get a no-name defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator coach, and just kind of, look at the guy from Detroit. Everybody joking. He's got them playing hard, even though they got the worst record in the
He's
league.
got
He's
that
them
team
playing
bought in.
hard.
Greg
That's the
Roman,
kind of
bro.
team I want
what
to
you
root
need.
for.
Eric
Roman.
Bieniemy.
It's kind of hard to
Eric
watch right now,
Bieniemy.
especially on offense.
I'm with you, Cody.
That
Chuck-
was a fantastic call.
Yeah, very good call. First is that if you didn't feel bludgeoned by this season, then I wouldn't believe that you felt pain. I would believe that you were a sociopath at this point. Is of course, look, and you're right, and this is I've been going through the same existential kind of crisis when it comes to and we're trying to build the content and stuff like that. It's just how do we freshen up the discussion without it just being us just continuing try. We're stuck in the mud and we're just hitting the gas as hard as we can, and we're just spinning them wheels, spinning wheels.
Our tires.
So you want to, but it is that I keep trying to say to myself is the moment that I'm not angry, the moment I'm not disappointed, that's when it is really, really bad.
Yep.
Because then I don't care, that apathy.
Yeah.
But everywhere I turn around, I just find something stupid to get mad about. Just like when I was listening to that call right here. And this is, I flipped over to Panthers.com, just closing out tabs on my other computer. And it says, bring the noise. And then look at this. And it's only this picture of Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson has had a bizarre season. This is where we're at. The face of our franchise and bringing the noise in the final game is a receiver who's played one season with us, who struggled in the second season. I don't know. This is just, for me, it just isn't doing it.
No, not at all.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, I mean, it's
just not doing it. I don't know. And maybe we don't have some. Maybe the thing that's really sad about this is we don't have a better face to put up there right now.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not true at all. I mean,
you would think it would be Cam, but
we have a Pro Bowl outside linebacker that was voted the number one outside linebacker in the NFC. Like, I mean, Hassan Reddick should be the one up there right now.
Yeah, that's a great.
I don't know why this bothered me.
You know what? You know what it is? It's what you just said. Like, okay, Robbie's been cool. Robbie's made some good plays, but like, Robbie is just Robbie.
Robbie's not a world beater.
Yeah, but it's like,
to be honest with you.
but it's like, okay, and I know this is unfair to like compare him to the greats, but even if you look at the guys that we've had on this team the past, decades, some of the big name guys like Luke and Cam and Greg Olsen, and even guys, like Ryan Khalil. And it's like there were guys that were entrenched on this football team that you viewed as a face of the Carolina Panthers.
We just don't have that person right now.
No, we really don't, man.
Yeah, Robbie Anderson is a fast Brennan LaFell.
No, Brendan
he is. He
LaFell
puts up
bigger.
the same production Brendan LaFell did.
Brendan LaFell's bigger. I do have a question for you guys. If you go to NFL.com, so whenever I'm on NFL.com, it's advertising that you could buy the Game Pass. Like it's always a banner somewhere up there. Yeah, it's like right after the stories. And my Game Pass always, it has this. Maybe I can just pull it up here and show you. This is something that's been on my mind a lot lately too. And I know that's weird. You're like, what in the world? Like this it's not that bothers me. I'll show you. Is this because the internet's smart enough to know where I'm at and who I am, that this is the banner for the Game Pass?
Yeah. Did you hit a lot? So, dude, I just went to the
So there's no way that for someone who lives in Wisconsin that's the Game Pass banner.
Is yours at the bottom of? Is this yours at the bottom of your screen?
Christian McCaffrey on it. I'm just saying, there's no way that could be the poster child of the Game Pass for all of the NFL. That has to be targeted towards Panther fans.
It just asked me to know my location.
Yeah. I know they do that. I just wonder. I would be interested. Somebody. I wonder if somebody else can see us. Well, but here's the thing:
mine doesn't even have anything. Mine just says GP.
Ah, interesting.
But I'm in Virginia, so
this is where we're at, Panther fans. That's where I've been at. Is like, how are you going to try to get me to buy the Game Pass with a Christian injured McCaffrey? At least give me somebody else on that banner. Update it, NFL.com. Next call. Noah's still up, bro.
Hope you're having a good night.
We
I
are.
just got back from a movie theater, so I wasn't able to catch up, but I heard a little bit on what Cody was saying. I agree with Cody. I mean, I think that Cam Newton was in a very bad predicament.
Thanks, Noah.
I think he did. I just think that Cam was just rushed into a bad franchise at this point. Our franchise is not really going that good right now. But I just want to say, firing Matt Rhule and rebuild the team. I mean, a lot of people say don't rebuild, just fix certain players, but we got to rebuild it. I mean, it's nothing too safe. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Keep pounding. And everybody go watch the Spider-Man 10 out of 10. Good day.
That's right. Appreciate that. Man, Noah hits, bro. Noah comes with the fire. And I love him. He's on my team, man. Let's go, Noah. Great call, man. I'm happy that we've got some.
Did he say he went and saw Spider-Man?
Yeah, he said go see Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Beautiful movie. I'm not going to ruin it for those worried.
Nah, don't worry. But a lot of good people talk. A lot of people I respect really like it. Next call.
Hey guys, it's Joey for the third time.
Joey
And
Joe.
man, after seeing that Matt Rhule press conference that you guys were showing, and like Matt Rhule press conference a thing to get people just mad and angry. Okay, like there's no other reason to listen to them if you're just unless you're just a masochist and you're a Panthers fan. Like that's the only reason. If you just enjoy pain and being angry. But when Matt Rhule said when he answered that question, they said, what do you do to motivate this team? He goes, I don't do anything. And you know what's so bad? And it's like, well, no shit, Sherlock. I mean, we know you don't do anything. It's just you think Matt Rhule has gotten as bad as he's gonna get, and then he just
Finds a way to top it.
Hold my beer.
Mm-hmm.
Hold my beer.
And he's gone, dude. There's no way.
It's just getting worse and worse.
Because Tepper knows he said that shit. After that press conference, there's no way he sticks around after this year. There's just no way. And it's so bad. Anyway, guys. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I agree. All right, next call.
How many calls are
So I don't really have any.
One more after this one.
Got in at 11:30 because I was doing work, but I was just curious what you guys think happens in the off season, like what you guys think we do at the draft and what we do like free agency, and, like coaching.
Did
Like,
you play
I want
that?
to know like what your guys' thoughts are.
Sounds like a call we already had.
It's very similar to
Very
another
similar,
call
yeah.
we had. Here is let's just kind of go through and not go through specific moves, but kind of priorities, right? Is that there will need to be a decision made at a coach, right? Does Matt Rhule get another year or not, right? So we know that is that first, will our offseason be one of looking for a coach and arguing on this podcast over what coaches and philosophies will work best, what coaching trees have worked out and things like that. But if they bring back Matt Rhule, then that discussion would be moot for at least 6 games or 3 games or 1 game if you lose the opener next year. And then we'll be back on that damn discussion right away. Number 2 is there's going to be continued questions surrounding quarterback position. Right. And that is, are you going to be comfortable with Sam Darnold as your bridge? Are you going to try to find another bridge? Or are you going to try to bridge it in the draft? Right. So I think that would be number 2. Number 3, free agency and the offensive line. Right. I mean, and that is a higher priority on my list than do we keep Hassan Reddick or Stephon Gilmore, which would probably be coming next on the list or very close to it. But I'd probably actually, before I even care about Hassan Reddick and who did I say? Who else? Gilmore is I think that if Matt Rhule is around, then we would be turning our eyes to who the offensive coordinators are going to be. Is it going to be an internal promotion of Jeff Nixon? What other changes are going to come, particularly with Chase Blackburn, different coaching staff, Pat Meyer on the offensive line coach? Are there some different things that you might want to go forward there? And then after that, I think we get to the draft. Can you believe that? All of those questions, and I haven't even gotten to the damn draft yet. Wow.
Yeah, I do.
Or would you actually, instead of just going through your own list, what if anything did I miss, and what would you say I misprioritized?
I mean, I don't know that you missed, all of those things that you mentioned are definitely on the list. we've heard that your free agency decides your draft. And I think we're going to get a really good indication on what kind of GM Scott Fitterer really is. We're all inevitably giving him the benefit of the doubt like we did after Matt Rhule's first year, because it's just 1 year. How much do you really learn about a person in 1 year? Like, it's not enough. So it depends on what Fitterer does in the opening days of free agency, especially considering his opening moves in free agency last year was Cam Irving and Pat Elflein. Look how that's worked out. So, yeah, you have to put one foot in front of the other, and you really can't start talking about the draft until you've determined what you've done in free agency. And yeah, man, if we're going to end up firing our coach, which shout out to Geppetto, Matt Rhule might still very well end up being our head coach going into next year. But if that happens, or if it doesn't happen, we're going to have to shore up the O-line and the quarterback position. And the only good thing in front of us is that at least it's clear to everyone that the O-line and the quarterback positions have been the problem. They will continue to be the problem. And now you have to use any and all means to fix those problems. So whether or not they'll do it, we'll find out.
Do you think that if Matt Rhule, and this is actually, I think, a good one to file away for the future. Remember this question, you guys, for the future and for debate my takes going forward, some different things like that. If Matt Rhule does keep his job, do you think that power shifts in decision making a little towards Fitterer this year? And that is we have felt truly that Matt Rhule has been in full control, right? Up to this point. Now, maybe Tepper brought in Fitterer to play off. I do think there was some shit that he likes to have this divided house, like Game of Thrones or something. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever he's doing up there. But if we brought him back, you couldn't just say in Rhule we trust. It would have to be with some kind of sort of conditions of mentorship from Fitterer and Tepper, right?
Yeah, I would want to see David Tepper and his opinion go by the wayside, and I would want to see Matt Rhule and his opinion go by the wayside. Let our GM be our general manager. Let him do his job. You put him in that position to make these decisions. He should have all of the powers that come with that position. He shouldn't be handcuffed to any. Imagine you finally get your shot to be an NFL general manager, only to come in and have the owner of the organization, or have the owner or a brand new head coach out of college dictate to you what the players you're going to draft are going to be. Dude, that would be infuriating. I wouldn't even want to be in that kind of situation. So I'm glad you said that, Tony. I do hope that no matter
remember
what happens,
that one.
Yeah, I will.
And how we see it come to fruition, or if we do, and maybe it won't matter because Matt Rhule won't be the coach, maybe. But
see, I kind of disagree with that to a certain extent. I understand what you're saying, but I think the GM should have the final say in what happens.
Yeah,
but not taking consideration of what the coaches are wanting in players, or what they have strengths to coaching, or what they're trying to build, is just as detrimental as letting them pick it by themselves.
Well, we're not saying
some.
I'm not saying not consult them at all. They all have to be a part of the process.
Right.
But I'm talking about who has the final say. So if our general manager,
or who builds the vision, actually.
That's yeah.
Right. And all of that, in my opinion, you have to have your coach be a part of it. Of course, he has to be a part of it. And I do think they're going to collaborate, as much as we might hate that. But I think that the tiebreaker needs to go to the man who was paid to make those decisions, whose job in literally 31 other NFL franchises, whose job it is, the general manager. That's what
actually it doesn't work like that as much across the NFL as you would think, but it should probably. First, I want a big shout out to the 72 people watching 3 hours and 5 minutes later in this podcast, and one that I mistakenly told my wife, I said, there's really not that much to talk about. I don't think it's going to be a particularly long show.
You do it to yourself.
And
every
then I
time.
did say that to her. I was like, but every time I say that, this shit goes crazy. Last call of the night.
Hey guys, it's Joey.
Joey.
For the fourth time.
I hate your wife and your
But-
life.
I got some rhymes, and I'm just kind of disappointed because I couldn't be bothered to actually look like I could rap. But
Then why are you making a call
I'm
about
blind,
rapping?
but not in the brain. The situation with the Panthers is giving me. I'm a masochist, but I'm in good pain. For every loss, I come back for the next game.
He's a poet.
I said it sounds more like a poem. Yeah.
To have
Everybody
half
snap your
hope
fingers.
only for them to be cut down in flames.
Ooh, good line.
I certainly would wish this upon no one. But this is what it takes to harden your fan. And in case you're wondering, these thoughts are not random. They've festered over time as many players have wasted their prime on a shitty team destined for nowhere.
God.
And this is no fair. Wow, wow.
Nice.
Well done. I always
Joey
love when
brought
y'all
the
bring
bar.
your I love when y'all bring your creativity to the show. Help us get it done. You know what I mean? Like, we need that help. We need your ingenuity, your creativity, your insight. And that's why it's gone 3 hours, over 3 hours, because you guys are fantastic. Cody, I'm going to save it for tomorrow's debate my take. Is
Before-
Cam Newton's career done?
We're gonna have a great.
Fowler is talking shit.
We're gonna have a great debate, my take, tomorrow night. But thank you to Karen Choi at the end of the show with a $20
That's
love
so
bomb.
awesome.
We
Thank
love
you.
you, Karen.
That's a
Thank
big
you.
deal.
Never
Yeah.
change, guys. Stay awesome. We definitely appreciate you guys, man. We would not do this if we didn't have the coolest fucking fans that there are, man. We appreciate all of you, man. We never ask for
Sure.
money, but it's always appreciated. So thank you, Karen.
Yeah, you can support the show by like Karen did. There's ways to support it monetarily. It's in the you can find it in the show notes, Patreon, super chats, things like that. But the real thing we ask for is first just your support with the thumbs up, subscribe, and telling someone about the community, or actually just participating in it. Like Geppetto did tonight, as I have not seen that name before in the chat room. Maybe I missed it, might have, but I appreciate it, man. We appreciate you joining the C3 family. We've been doing this now for 9 years, every Tuesday night. 9 fucking years, man, is where this game has been at. Through the tough times, we're gonna be here on Tuesdays, but we got content in the post games. We've built a big fun community, and look at this. And thank you very much. Merry Christmas, Rook Bridges, $4.99 super chat. We appreciate it. Again, like, we don't ask for it, but we appreciate it. Smash the thumbs up button. You can be a part of the chat room, man. That's the best way. Let's get these comments up. I want to know what you guys are thinking about the Carolina Panthers. You have a lot of opportunities to do that on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. You can find me. But we got to get to one last final segment of the show. I don't think is anybody really going to pick. We could do our picks, but is anybody going to pick Carolina? I'm not. I'm picking Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
All right.
Tom Brady.
I know.
And they just got shut out. They're gonna use us as they're gonna abuse us.
I haven't picked the Panthers. You know what? I don't ever know if I have. This is the first season in the 9 years that I may have picked the Panthers to lose against the Falcons, and I did that on the radio on this show.
Same.
I've never felt like that. I mean, usually I just say, "Fuck it, I hate the Falcons so much, I'm gonna pick
It's like
pick
the
the Panthers no
worst-
matter what."
the
This
worst
has been a
football
tough
thing.
year.
Oh,
Really?
look. From the guy who provided all of our content
Oh,
tonight,
wow.
Geppetto, with a $5 love bomb. We appreciate
Well, thank
it,
you.
brother. We may argue about this team, but at the end of it all, we just want to see the team hold up that Lombardi. And
Or
I'll be
as
damned.
I've made a shirt that says, "Put it in the bank." Put the
Put it in the
Lombardi in
bank.
the bank. There's actually some for sale on CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Geppetto, do not leave before we do our ice up picks. You got to see our best segment, the longest running.
Fantastic. Thanks to Geppetto, man. And
All
look, we need dissenting opinions too. He's been he pushed us on the Matt Rhule thing, and
Yeah.
it makes for good discussion. So
And
appreciate
yeah,
you, Geppetto.
no echo chambers. No echo chambers. Let's go to this. As our final segment is where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. It is our homage to Steve Smith, who famously told Talib Kweli is the rapper.
Yeah, you
I just
almost
know it's
said
not
Talib
that one.
Kweli.
It's not him. It's the other guy, Talib Akib, whatever his name was. He told him to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. This is where everybody is fair game. Football, non-football, serious, non-serious, or whether it be fun. Old, young. I've even iced up a kid in Oklahoma, a 12-year-old in Oklahoma that I've never met and really had really little reason other than he turned the Panthers down as his first football date. Ice up picks coming through tonight. Who's got one?
I have one. I just need a second to corral
Okay.
it.
All right.
I've got
I've got
one. Share
one.
the video, but you can go ahead first.
Go ahead.
All right, hold on one second.
Unless, y'all keep going because I got one this week that's awful.
Mine's
Go
real
ahead.
simple. It's not even that huge. It's just watching the other football, real football this week. Watching, not saying I love these teams, but just actual teams, not Panthers football. The Broncos and the Bengals game. I don't know if y'all saw any of this. It was going on when we were doing the post game show. But there's a lineman here who does one of the most beautiful strips of a quarterback I've ever seen, and then proceeds down the field and does what most linemen do and gets careless and fumbles the football. And it's just so funny. And I'm icing him up for fumbling the ball because every time you see the situation, they fumble the ball. It's like if I'm that guy, I'm either dropping to the ground after a guy's starting to get around me, or I'm holding both hands and covering up with my dear life. But they always seem to fumble the ball. I don't know if y'all saw this play or not, but you gotta.
This right here.
Yeah, it was one of the absolute best.
Turn the volume off if you can.
Turn it off. Yeah, okay.
Not like it matters, but yep. Okay.
Well, now I gotta get rid of this. Okay, here we go. Watch this strip sack, or I guess it is a strip sack technically. Look at it. He just takes it away from him.
Took it from him.
Look, now watch. Now he gets up and walks. Goes down the field. Cover that ball up, man. Cover that ball up. Cover that ball up.
I got it right back.
What are you doing,
dude?
dude? Cover that ball up after a beautiful strip. Come on, man. Ice up.
Yeah, he tried to. Did you see? You're supposed to hold it high and tight. Dude goes like this to try to get over top of somebody. Yeah, not a smart move. But I feel like that he should have been down by contact after falling to the ground after stripping.
It was an interesting call. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, I found mine. So look, I promise. Okay, it's political because it involves people who are in politics, but I promise you, it's not really like Democrat Republican political. It's just about the nature. It's just about the nature of politicians when they get asked hard questions. Kamala Harris was on this show with Charlemagne the God. Charlemagne's a very popular hip hop pundit from New York. He does a radio show called The Breakfast Club. He has a show on Comedy Central, and he's asking Kamala Harris, who's the real president, Joe Biden or Joe Manchin. And a very funny kind of thing happened, so I'll just let it play.
Superhero that's going to speak against Joe Manchin. I want to know who the real president of this country is. Is it Joe Biden or Joe Manchin? She can hear me. Can you hear me, Madam Vice President?
Just saying, we have to rap.
What a surprise.
This is the guy that gets naked to take a shit, by the way.
No, this isn't him.
No?
No.
I can't
No. It's Joe Biden. And don't start talking like a Republican about asking whether or not he's president.
Do you think Joe Manchin is a problem?
And it's Joe Biden. And
This is mad.
My name is Kamala Harris. And the
Listen, that's the end of the clip. If it wasn't obvious, right? She's trying to say, or she's being asked, who's the president? Is it Joe Biden or is it Joe Manchin? Joe Manchin's holding up the Build Back Better thing in the Senate. So he's asking a fair question to Kamala Harris. So then her counselor, Simone Sanders, comes in as soon as she hears the question and is like, oh, Charlamagne, we're having some terrible audio issues. We have to wrap. Like, we have to go. Yeah, but Charlamagne calls her on her bullshit and is like, they're trying to pretend like they can't hear me. And by then, Kamala knew that she had kind of been had. That's why she got so pissed off. Dude, politicians.
Look in the
Dude, she was so mad. Politicians will do anything to avoid a tough question.
Mm-hmm.
Anything, man. Especially these corporatists. Dude, I'll spare you, bro. Bro, these fucking corporatist Democrats, dude. But look, to Kamala Harris, you might be the vice president, but you're not above being asked hard, legitimate questions that American people want answered.
Is it not the truest form of irony that question's being asked while she is looking at somebody else to give her an answer to try to
who's president? What do I say? What do I say?
Is that not the most incredible form of irony that she's being asked about who controls the country and some woman in the background is controlling the entire interview by saying, no, we're losing connect, we gotta go.
Oh, that's a bridge too far. So yeah, to Kamala Harris, I would have to say ice up, son.
Look, I gotta first premise mine by saying I love gin, like the liquor gin. Like I love martini. Like
is your wife now?
Yeah, I know, not JENGIN. Sadly, I love gin a little bit more than I should. But and I'm all for trying. Well, actually, no. I just gotta say this is like. Holy cow. I don't even know how to explain this other than I will let it explain itself with this slow screen share. Here we go.
Oh no, what?
Can you hear it?
Elephant.
Yeah, go full screen.
It's a virtuous circle. My name is Les Ansley from South Africa, and I make gin out of elephant dung. Elephants have very poor gut absorption. They only absorb around 30% of their food. The rest of it is just left on the floor. We follow the elephants, hopping out of the Land Cruiser. We have to collect fresh dung. That's the raw
Just
ingredient.
wear your gloves, bro.
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, why can't
he said absolutely perfect?
We create a base gin. Then we infuse the dried elephant dung into that gin. It's a bit like making a cup of tea. Our background as scientists helps 15%
You know that
of our
tasted
profits go
shitty.
to an elephant orphanage for baby elephants. It's very difficult for an elephant not to have an impact on your life. We have to contribute back to the giants of Africa.
Why?
And look at the commercial with the poop and the coming out.
That's not the only one. There's a monkey out in one of those islands, and they take their turds and make coffee out of it.
I don't know, man. Like, my man would say, I know. It's like, man, it's kind of like this craft beer serves that's everywhere. Like, and I love a good craft beer and stuff, but when you have to push the limits now to distinguish your beer from the other ones, because so it's like, I got to make an apricot beer. I got to make some like what are those acai berry beer or something like this, and it's like I gotta make a fucking elephant shit beer.
Dude,
God.
that's crazy.
Like, come on, ice up.
Up.
But at some point, like I don't I love this. They're like, there's so many good nutrients left in this poop.
Like, it's not even
why don't you just
digested
get the
yet.
grass before he ate it, asshole? Like, you don't have to have the. Why don't you get the 100% version instead of the?
Why does it have to be shit first? Oh, God.
Guano. It's my guano gin. Ice
dude,
up.
that's crazy.
Oh,
All right, CK, you got one?
I mean, I'm just gonna ice up. Mine's simple because on Sunday, the reason I wasn't there at the post game is because I had a family get together at my house. And as you know, as a kid, everybody brings them gifts. I'm sitting here getting nothing. My son gets all these gifts. I'm sitting here just like, my mom hands me some socks. Like, I'm like, yeah. Like she got me some socks. They're alpaca socks.
Oh.
So the entire time I'm just making jokes about I needed a pack of socks. And dad jokes and whatnot, but nonetheless, I get just in comparison, he's getting all these gifts. I get finally get a gift, like a card, and I know there's going to be probably money in it for my grandmother. Gets me $25. I'm super stoked about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be dinner or something one night this week. She hands my son one fucking $100. I'm like, when did he become more important than me, Grandma? Like, I mean, come on, he's your great grandchild, not even your grandchild. Like, I mean, let's get real. The gene pool has been diluted by this point. I'm more valuable.
I can't wait.
I think my mom was the one that told me that like parents are tough on their kids only so they can spoil their grandkids.
But it was my grandma.
I know. It's like, well, wait until you meet your great grandkid.
Yeah, right.
And
so it's
I'm
even
just
doubly.
I'm icing up adulthood at this point in time because it fucked up
Right.
Christmas hard for me.
I'm with you.
Well, just go buy what you want.
Oh,
All right, that's the C3 Panthers podcast. It is again just I am the problem. You told me, Cody, tell me not to be superstitious. Well, how is it? At what point does it go from superstition to data? I said, oh, we only got a lot to talk about. 3.5 hours later, here we are. My name's Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. We do it with y'all folks, and we appreciate your support. Continue to help us by smashing the thumbs up button, dropping in the comments section, checking us out on Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher. Share the link with a friend. Just tell one friend about the longest running Panthers podcast on the internet. It will help us grow. We don't advertise. We don't do none of that. Just organic growth. Keep pounding. Grassroots movement. Cody Lashney, how can they get after you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter right there. There's my hashtag right by me at CodyLac, CODYLAC. You can hit me up. I'm good about responding to people. You can find my written work on drafttech.com, where I'm the analyst for the Carolina Panthers. Everybody's interested in the draft, so definitely check out drafttech.com. I do a lot of work there. I've been doing it for about 2 years. And then we've got the Friday free-for-all, man, to Geppetto and everyone in the chat room that's new tonight. I want to get more and more people, more and more faces on the Friday show. That's your show, but you get an opportunity to actually come on the show. I posted the link to the StreamYard in the descriptions in the chat room, so you can come on and join, have a conversation about the Carolina Panthers. It's a good time for everybody. I've had all the guys on this show on. Greg has been on the free-for-all. Code Dizzle's been on the free-for-all. Tony Dunn's come on the free-for-all a bunch of times. It's a great time, man. Come and join the cult of free-for-all every Friday at 7. The show for Panther fans, by Panther fans, Tony, I'm done talking, man.
Merry Christmas.
I
Merry
lied.
Christmas.
One more thing. I wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a very happy holidays, and hug and kiss all your family.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. CK, are there any games you would like to get for Christmas?
Yeah, so there's a couple that I've been looking at, but I always,
You can buy
download
them yourself too,
Yeah.
by the way. Just
Yeah. Yeah,
know what
exactly.
you're doing for your own
Well, I
Christmas.
literally, the problem I have with games right now is I play so many games that I don't finish any of them. And like I have so many unfinished games, I need to probably avoid buying more until I get those taken care of. So right now, I guess my Christmas present would probably be just to, finish playing the games that I do have so that I can open up an opportunity or open up room on my storage for more games. At this point.
All right. They can find you on Facebook Gaming at
Yeah, Facebook Gaming, Codizzle Allen. Find me over there, streaming some games, streaming some new Warzone, streaming some farming simulator, stuff like that. So come check it out.
Greg, Matrix coming out soon.
Yeah, I actually think I'm gonna go see it tomorrow. Funny enough, I had 2 tickets for Spider-Man. Person was gonna go with me, couldn't go, so I sold both of them. Now I have a free ticket to go see a movie. I got Friday off, so I think Matrix is gonna be tomorrow.
Doesn't it come out on HBO Max?
Oh, you know what? It does come out on HBO Max. I'll save that ticket.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Okay, cool.
That's what I'm
check it on
gonna
HBO
have
Max.
to go. I'm gonna stay up all night, watch all the Matrices now.
Well, hey, man,
it's my
if you're gonna-
Christmas.
If you're gonna stay up all night and watch The Matrix, man, come check out the review we're gonna do. Super Civil Servants podcast. As soon as y'all do the C3 Panthers, the free for all, just roll right into the Super Civil Servants, man. We're covering The Matrix.
Not on
Hawkeye,
Christmas
Wishy-washy
Eve. Y'all
too.
doing Christmas Eve show?
Oh yeah, Christmas Eve. We're at home. It's not like we're going anywhere.
Love it. All right, then I'll be on that show. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
watch The Matrix right now. All right, that's the C3 Panthers podcast. Go Panthers, even if it's in the future. Go C3. Go Panther Nation. Go get us out of here, Cody. He's on mute.
I'm
You
muted,
cute.
of course.
You
Panther
cute.
Nation. Until next time, keep pounding.
Keep pounding.